So you found the skeleton. How would you tell people that it's you personally? How would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that.
All right, let's go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Matt with Maddie, which I have. Actually, Maddie, you should be audible right now.
I just said that's me, but I was mouthing it to be polite. Jeez.
Oh, okay.
Ugh. They
all
talk
right.
about how I can't. None of your guests can ever be quiet, and so
True.
I try to be considerate. And then you're like, Maddie, why are you being considerate right now? I'm like, I can't win.
My apologies. There is no winning here because we're talking about the mats. There is
We
no
are
winning with the
talking about the
mats.
mats.
Yeah.
But guys,
Yes.
we have an opportunity tonight. We have an opportunity.
Mm.
And we might do it. We'll have to see because there's the super chat goal, and Google's being dumb with super chat goals. But if we work together,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll do my part, I promise, we can finish this
Mm-hmm.
and decide next time to do least bad Matt.
Yeah.
Guys, we could do least bad Matt.
So what Maddie is saying here is that normally we go Matt Powell raw Matt Powell raw Matt. We just kind of alternate between those two. But those are some of the worst mats that have ever matted, right?
They are.
Yeah. However, there is another creationist Matt named Matt McLean. And
We've done him one time.
One time. And he is a significantly less silly Matt, if we were being kind. He is a much smarter Matt. I would not go as far as to say that he is, a good Matt, but he's not nearly as bad as the other Matts.
Listen, if it makes sense, I refer to him as best Matt, but not a good Matt.
Right. And so if we can get that super chat goal, which actually already has one on the board because apparently I screwed it up and then Google was like, no, you can't make another one for a little while. Anyway, if we can get 49 there, then our next Matt will be Matt McLean. And this right now is any super chat should count. So if it's a $2 super chat, it'll count. If it's a $5 super chat, it'll count. And speaking of $2 super chats, the first thing that counts, even though it's not on the counter, DM Wing sends 6 p.m. 6/16/26 with a Godzilla. We will take a drink for that Godzilla. Thank you very much.
God bless. I've got my standard bearded theologian for tonight, guys. My health is so good that I can consume alcohol again. Cheers.
Nice. We also have 5 memberships sent by Matt the Navigator, Lieutenant Matt the Navigator, my apologies. So while I take 5 drinks, I want Maddie to tell you how much fun it is to cleave Chaos Cultists in 2 with a chainsword.
Guys, it's so fun. My character in that listen, I don't know anything about Warhammer. I don't. But I have a chainsword. And I got to cut somebody in half.
2 somebodies.
And I got to cut I did. I got to cut somebody in half. I got to vivisect one. And then I got, what's it called when you do horizontal? And sometimes you just need to, in a fictional, safe setting, cut your enemies in half.
Yeah.
And it's really cathartic and good, actually.
Yeah.
What is it called when you cut someone in half? Because when you go like this, it's vivisect, right?
Actually, vivisect is like a dissection, except that the organism you're dissecting is alive.
Oh.
Yeah.
I guess it was a quick vivisect, maybe.
Disembowel is when you cut someone's torso open so that their intestines spill out.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's a single word for just cutting someone in half in a particular direction. Bisect?
Bisect? Yeah.
I mean, that's not for organisms specifically. That's just for anything that you cut in half. But yeah, I think bisect would work. Like you bisected 2 different cultists, one vertically and one horizontally.
Yeah, I did do that. And guys, it was glorious. And I'm really excited. I'm sad that I haven't been back on season 3 of Star Trek yet. There's been I had a month-long asthma attack that was kicking my butt, and then my sister and her family visited, and she just got married, thus remember I'm now ordained in the Nomian church, and her new in-laws came to visit. And So we had to go, we let the kids play, they had a great time. Um, and, yeah, that was good.
Fearmonger the Blurry Potato says bifurcate. And no, because bifurcate means that you end up with two branches, but it's still connected at the middle.
Mhm.
And so, like, a snake's tongue is bifurcated, but it's not bisected because it's still one tongue, but it just splits towards the end, and that's bifurcated. So not bifurcate. I think bisect is correct, and I believe Roshina also said bisect. Yep, Roshina said bisect. All right, so
Okay.
we are not primarily here to talk about what it is like to cut the cultists, to bisect the cultists in twain, which is superfluous because that's what bisect already means. It's like when someone says like it's my 3-year anniversary. Anniversary already has the word year built into it. Just say
So
third
it's my
anniversary.
3rd anniversary.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're not here to talk primarily about that. We're here to try to we're going to try to finish off this Matt video. We've got
Finish him.
approximately 16 minutes. All right.
Amazing. Listen, I think we can do it. I've
I do
got my
too.
beer. Chat, where you at? You got your beers or whatever it is you use to play along? Do we need to go over the drinking rules or do we need to just jump
No, we need to
into
jump
this?
in. People know
We
the
need
drinking
to
rules.
jump.
If you don't, watch the previous episode. And we
Yeah,
are
or
gonna
chat, catch up the new people. We gotta go.
yeah. So also remember, if you want us to go on to Matt McLean instead of Matt Powell, who would normally be our next Matt, 49 super chats. Put him on the board.
We gotta do it.
Matt was just recently telling us how time doesn't exist in the geological column because he doesn't know what unconformities are.
Right. He was doing that. And it was big dumb.
Very big dumb.
Those who argue in favor of deep time are arguing from an absence of evidence. This is the same problem which occurred with the moon. When they first went to the moon, they had expected to land in multiple feet of dust accumulation.
Okay, so first of all, no, they didn't. Initially,
Yeah.
that was a concern before the Apollo missions actually started up. But by the time that the first moon landing happened, we were pretty well sure that there was only going to be a few centimeters of dust on the moon. And that's because we had already figured out that the assumptions that we were using to figure out that there must have been several feet were just wrong. As it
Mhm.
turns out, yeah, this is just a thing that we figured out was wrong before the Apollo missions.
Hmm?
And Maddie, as our resident lunar expert, do you have anything
I
to
am a lunar expert.
Yeah.
I was actually just briefly trying to like remember all the time I spent doing moon science. And like we talked a lot about the Apollo missions in a bunch of my like undergrad classes. And we talked a lot about like what they thought they would find versus like not knowing. Um and it does also matter where they landed because so the moon has a bimodal surface. It has the light colored anorthosite highlands and then the dark colored basaltic mare. And very intentionally, all of the Apollo missions landed in the mare. And that's because those are younger surfaces, they're less heavily cratered. And so they're like flatter, and there's also just less dust. Um, and so, like, at least in the Mare, that wasn't a concern because we knew, like, hey, we're seeing the basalt, right? Um, you can see that from Earth. So that's very much like looking at a volcanic island that was, formed recent enough that it's still just black rock. Um, we know how basalt looks and how it behaves, even from Earth and even in the 60s. So the only piece I might give them is there might have been some concern about how deep is the dust near a fresh crater in the highlands, and that being a bleh. But like it's not like we don't know if it's a centimeter or 10 feet, it's there might be a little give. Does that answer your question? I'm
Yeah. Another thing is that
okay.
basically this when this was initially considered to be a potential problem, it was
Yeah.
because we were overestimating the amount of basically space dust falling to the moon by like a few orders of magnitude. And then
Gotcha.
we got better measurements by just sending up satellites to collect space dust to figure out, hey, what's the actual like flux of space dust in like interplanetary space that might impact the moon. It turns out
Amazing.
way less than we thought. And a big
Gotcha.
part of helping
Oh.
out with that is the solar wind, which blows dust-sized particles away from the inner solar system.
Amazing. Also, guys, I've been playing on the floor with the toddler for all weekend, and my back hurts a lot, so I'm going to be stretching a lot in this video.
That seems fair.
Okay.
Science Side up for $2 says, let's go with a Godzilla, a Mothra, and a Carmen. Thank you very much. Renee Reborn over and over and over for $5 says, a new Matt, happy to support that. Yeah, that is a noble cause. Lieutenant Matt the Navigator
Least
for
bad
$5.
Matt.
Yes. Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $5 says, fun fact, there were a lot of moon landings prior to Apollo 11. They just didn't bring the squishy bits along. That's true.
It's true.
Yep. And then Sapphire Plushies. What is the whole thing? Why do you block this off for
Plushy
me?
Sorceress Light.
There we go. For $2 says, AIG is a toad of tepid tangerine tallywhackers. Thank you very much. I have to keep most of my
Thanks
chat
for the
windows
alliteration.
relatively narrow, so it's hard for me to read everyone's names. Sorry.
Gotcha. I've got my chat window pretty big, so I can
Well, a part of that
I can pop in.
is that this is a stream in which I only have 2 screens because I'm still on my laptop. However, tomorrow my computer should be delivered to me, and I will probably spend about a day or so making sure that everything is set up properly and stress testing it. And by which I mean basically just finding my most graphically intense game and putting it on the highest settings and just seeing how it goes.
Love that.
Right. And yeah, also maybe doing some like heavy duty Blender stuff. Not necessarily creating a new scene, just like opening up one of my heavier scenes and just like, hey, how's it going? Which also means I'm probably not going to work on videos too much in the next couple days for that reason. Let's see.
But luckily, especially for channel members and patrons, there's about a 5 to 6 month backlog of videos that you could entertain yourself with. So when Dapper has computer issues, Past Dapper planned for this.
Oh yeah.
Past Dapper has a backlog.
In fact, a new video went up today into the backlog.
Amazing. So everyone should be a patron or a member
if you can afford it.
They start at just $1 a month if you can afford it, as it's part of your entertainment budget. We're all suffocating under the fist of capitalism. But we're here together, and it's going to be great.
It's
okay.
I think it's a power fist too. That's a Warhammer thing, Maddie.
Yeah. Okay. We're all here together, suffering under the chainsaw sword of capitalism.
That's a different weapon, but also a good 40k weapon.
Yeah.
Naranda puts for $2 says, there wasn't an infallible prophet of space dust? Actually, as it turns out, no, there wasn't.
Wild.
And Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $2 says, playing Crisis, got it. I don't think I even own Crisis. Let me see, do I own Crisis? Is Crisis on Steam that I could get it? Let's see, Crisis. Oh, yeah, Crisis Remastered is on sale for 65% off. It's $10. Well, $10.50. Okay. Neat. In case anyone is not aware, Crisis is a famously graphically intense game. Despite not actually being as high graphics in terms of like fidelity and like lighting effects as you would expect, given how much power it eats up. Turns out that the Crisis engine is a resource hog.
Because they expected the moon to be very old according to their deep time belief.
No, it is very old.
It is very old. It's like 4 billion years old. And the last time it was significantly modified was 2.9 billion years ago during the late heavy bombardment.
Yeah. And see, there's this thing, right? So what scientists were doing, they were saying, okay, estimated age is X. Estimated flux of space dust is Y. And that space dust will be, intercepted according to the speed of the moon flying around, which we also know. And when we multiply all this together, we get this many, or this much mass of space dust, which would end up being approximately this thick given the density of space dust in terms of like actual like, mass over volume.
Mhm.
And one of those terms was wrong, Matt.
Yeah.
And it turns out that
So
the
they
term that was wrong was the flux of space dust, which means the age
Yeah.
wasn't wrong, Matt,
Yeah.
which is
The
which is
age
not what
wasn't
you want.
wrong, my friend.
That's not what you want.
Mm-mm.
Yep. So if we had sent up probes to measure space dust, and it actually had been as prevalent as we thought it was, then that would be a problem. It turns out it just isn't. Lieutenant Math Navigator for $2 says, Crisis is the anti-Doom. Doom is pretty well
Yeah.
optimized, yeah.
Harold C. I'm just listen. There's nothing on here I can like look up, but I'm going to look up this scientist, Dr. Harold C. Urey, and see if he's got a Wikipedia page.
Let me know.
Okay.
When they landed, there were only a few inches of dust, proving exactly the same thing we're looking at with the fossil record.
Matt, I want you to think about this if you ever watch this, Matt. Do you think NASA was going to send people in those clunky spacesuits with the expectation that when they got off the lunar lander, they were going to sink into several feet of sharp, jagged moon regolith, and that they were just like, they'll sort it out? What? Think about that, Matt.
Okay, team. This is Harold Urey of the Miller-Urey experiment.
Oh,
He was born in 1893.
so he's a millennial. It's the wrong
Yeah,
millennium. Well, no, he's a
the long
centurial.
Yeah, he died in 81 and he won the Nobel Prize in 1934 for his discovery of deuterium.
Wow.
Wow. So that's super cool. But guys, homeboy was not working at NASA
No.
during the Apollo missions. Homeboy was retired. Uh yeah, he gets kind of his like end of career awards in the early 70s. So
Yeah.
wow. Okay. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So yeah, man, sorry, this is old even by young earth creationist standards.
Yeah.
Right? Normally they're like 50 years out of date. We're talking like 100 years.
So, you know how Creation Ministries International has that webpage of arguments we think creationists shouldn't use?
Yeah.
This is on it.
Is this one of them?
This is one of
This is
them.
on it of
Yep.
how deep
Mm-hmm.
amazing. So actually you can assume never mind. It's fine.
Okay.
we can keep going. Yeah, there's less space dust than you might have been led to believe in 1920.
Everything is young. The Earth, the Moon, and so is the Grand Canyon.
No,
No,
it
yeah,
sure
no.
isn't.
More problems.
Ooh.
If you look at flow number 1 in the chart, called the Cordenas
Okay.
basalt, it
Got
was
it.
dated using rubidium strontium isochron at 1.07 billion years old.
That sounds reasonable, yeah, given that this is
That
the
sounds
crystalline
reasonable.
basement rock, yeah. For $2,
Yep.
Lieutenant Math Navigator says, Young Earth creationists have standards, only double standards.
Yeah, only double standards.
Well, the other lava flow on top of it, flow number 2 in the chart, they found Native American pottery from a tribe that lived in that region between 1,000 and 1,200 years ago. So they knew how old the lava was. But
No.
using the same...
Well, they have a cap
they
on
knew
it.
how old the... Yeah, they have a cap on the... Sorry, I thought he was saying that we can use the artifacts to know how old the lava was, and I was saying no to that.
Yeah, we can know that the lava flow has to be younger than the artifacts that it flows over.
Yeah, that's true. Unless there was some sort of, like, mixing.
Which, given that this is at the surface of the canyon and flowing down into it, it's not. It's not lifted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So we actually do know that this lava flow is younger than the 1 to 2-ish thousand year old artifacts.
Okay, the second lava flow, not
Right,
the
not the Cardenas basalt.
not the Okay, sorry. Continue. Okay.
Same dating method, the dates returned at 1.34 billion years old.
Hey, Maddie, would you like to guess whether it was scientists or whether it was creationists intentionally misusing dating techniques who got
Ooh.
this anomalously old date?
My guess is it's creationists using bad dating techniques who got this
Mhm.
anonymously old date, especially because the lava flow is what 200 million years older than the one below it without any.
Yeah, it turns out that what they did was include crystals that didn't melt in their samples, which means that they
Oh.
were aging the crystals that had formed more than 2.4 billion years ago and averaging that in with the rest of the rock that they were dating.
Yeah,
Because
you can't do that.
no, that's a thing that they do all the time, though. Because it turns out that when
Ooh.
you don't exclude xenocrysts from your lava dates,
Hmm.
they become extremely old.
Oh, wow. Hey, so when you don't exclude crystals that are notoriously difficult to destroy, which is why we use them to date things like how old is the solar system,
Mhm.
because they're notoriously difficult to weather, and will stick around for a very long time. When you date only those things, that weren't they were mixed in. Listen, it's like, listen, team, this is what they did. They're like, "We've got this cookie dough. And you know what? You know what we're gonna mix into this cookie dough? We're gonna mix in these delicious like peaches I've been preserving, right? And they've been canned and they're safe and they're from like 3 years ago. But I've preserved them in bourbon, and we're gonna take
Mm.
those and we're gonna put those peaches and mix it into the cookie dough that I made this morning, right? Or the pie, however you want to think about it. I'm making up this analogy on the fly. Um, and we're gonna say, well, how old is this batter? This batter must be 2 years old because on average,
Yeah.
because of how old the peaches are.
Yep. I was gonna go with the analogy of like, let's say you wanted to figure out how old the little children in a kindergarten classroom were, but then you forgot
Yeah,
to exclude the teacher from your average and when
yeah,
calculating the age. You're going to get the wrong answer.
you're gonna get the wrong answer.
Lieutenant
Yeah,
Matt the Navigator for $2 says they were dating crystals with a Y and a K. Isn't that polygamy? It might just be cheating because cheating isn't the same thing as polygamy.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, I forgot to like the stream. Don't be like me.
How dare you?
Like the stream.
It is very important.
Yeah.
On lava that we know was only around 1,000 years old. Contrary to what mainstream science wants you to think and believe, the dating methods give vastly different answers on the exact same rocks tested.
Matt, that's a problem, right? Because when you told us
Mhm.
earlier that the Cardenas basalt was actually dated with isochron dating, that means that the different dating techniques, because you have to use more than one to do an isochron date,
Mhm.
agreed. Otherwise, you couldn't report a particular age.
Yeah.
And by telling us
And
that
he
the
also
measurements you're talking about don't report the same age, that means they did not get a valid isochron date, which means that something is being tested that has different ages, which is, again, at least in part, due to inclusions of xenocrysts.
Yeah, also early these are all uranium lead dating, and earlier he said they used strontium. Is it strontium rubidium dating?
I believe it is strontium rubidium. One's lead, though.
Right, yeah, sorry, uranium lead and lead dating is what's being shown here, and he was talking about like before and earlier he said they were using strontium dating. So, yeah, no, this isn't right. Something is wrong with this data. And so if someone presented me with this, I was like, huh, we need to check our methods, right?
Yeah.
That's my gut instinct, right? And I would tell you, I this is the same thing I tell to my like students in their one and only lab science when they're like measuring the density of an unknown material, right? When they do the sample 3 times and they get wildly different numbers each time, which is a thing that happens. Um, I'm like, hey, it looks like something went wrong, right? think about, and it's honestly, instead of making them redo it, I make them think about what they think went wrong and how they could improve their methodology and write that out, right? Because things go wrong in scientific processes, and the important thing is identifying what went wrong, and correcting that for future iterations of the experiment. We don't do this and then stop, right?
Right. Well, and the other thing is, if Matt thinks that there's no problems with the methodology, then he also needs to
Yeah.
say, okay, well then Matt, under your model, why would we get different dates for these different radioactivity or these radioactive dating techniques, right? Because you
Yeah.
seem to think, based on other things I've seen from him, he seems to think that there was accelerated nuclear decay, which basically just means that the half-lives of various radioactive nuclides were just turned up. So do you think that
Yeah.
each one was turned up by a different amount? And if that's the case, then these discrepancies should be similar in terms of the degree by which they differ in virtually every rock. And since these are all post-flood rocks, what is your explanation for that in this case? And if it's just like, oh, well, it's contamination or something, well, okay, that's like a mainstream explanation for this anyway. So that doesn't help
Mhm.
young Earth creationism and harm the accuracy of radiometric dating. What it does is say, well, there's something wrong with the samples. So there isn't actually a way for Matt to turn this into a point in his favor, like no matter which way you look at it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. This data does look bad. And that's the, if this was the only thing he showed me and he hadn't said anything, I would be like, this data looks bad. Something was wrong. Either with like the sample or, like, hey, did you like, calibrate your instruments before you did anything,
Right.
have these, what type of results do these labs doing this type of dating normally give, right? Is this just a bad lab? Are they bad at their job and they can never give coherent dates, right? That would be an important thing to know. Anyway,
Yep. And basically
yeah.
all the answers to why this looks bad don't really help
Yeah.
Matt. None of them do.
Yeah, none of these are, I guess the earth is young.
Right.
Yeah. That's
Because
yeah,
then
that's
another thing is, even if this was, I guess radiometric dating is completely bunk, just
yeah.
sedimentology and like stratigraphy on its own still gets us to tens of millions of years old for the Earth, regardless of that, which is what the estimates were
Yeah.
before radiometric dating. So, like,
Mhm.
either way, young Earth creationism is completely out of the question.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you don't you d it there's no scientific field that gets you young earth creationism as the answer.
Yeah.
The Grand Canyon itself is far more of a depiction of Noah's flood than it is uniformitarianism millions of years.
Well, then it would have flood rocks in it, Matt.
Yeah.
That's
What do you mean pre-flood rocks with no fossils? Guys, there's fossils, especially trackway fossils, like at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. My
but
friend Anne, that's her whole job is she goes camping in the Grand Canyon and finds trackways.
But to be fair, they start in the Cambrian rocks, and he is talking there about the Precambrian crystalline, like igneous and
Oh, okay.
metamorphic rocks, where there aren't any. So he is technically,
Okay.
it is technically the case, the very bottom rocks don't have fossils. You have to go up just a little bit.
Okay.
Although you're still at a point where you can say safely that you're at the bottom of the Grand Canyon because, like, the river's right next to you as you're chipping away at these rocks on the wall of the canyon.
Yeah, it's just this diagram seems insane.
Oh, it is absolutely insane. Yeah.
Okay. Where we're
Um,
like pre-flood rocks, no fossils, creation week rocks.
Yeah, and also there are fossils
And-
in rocks as old as those rocks that he correctly says don't have
Yeah.
fossils. They're just elsewhere,
Ah, okay.
and they're
Okay.
stromatolites, which is bacterial colonies.
Gotcha.
Lieutenant Math Navigator for $5 says, "I gave the samples to a black lab, and the conclusion was that they were edible." This is a dog joke. Yes. I'm gonna take a drink for like
Amazing.
the how crazy this is, though.
Yeah.
Also, I love how he says
Yeah.
fossil rocks with marine fossils, even though many of the fossils that you can find throughout the Grand Canyon are in fact terrestrial fossils, because in fact
Yeah.
this area has gone above and below the ocean many, many times over the course of its history, including some desert fossils that include things like raindrops, which I know we've discussed before, but if you have sediment under the water and rain hits that water, you can't get a fossil raindrop in the sediment because the raindrop just turns into a little bit extra of the water on top. It doesn't go
Mhm.
through and hit the sediment because that's not how water works, or anything else for that matter.
The Empire Mountain Thrust Fault, just south of Tucson, Arizona.
Hey, I'm gonna take a drink
Hey.
because I want
Hey,
to
that's
celebrate. That's
you.
where I am. Sometimes people ask me where in Tucson. I'm like, no, you don't get to know. Sorry.
No,
Tucson
absolutely
is
not. Yeah.
Tucson is like about as big a city as I'm comfortable with saying that that's where I live. Like if I lived in any smaller of a place, I would just be like, I live near the nearest bigger city, is what I would say.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who's listened to me on stream for any amount of time, like, knows the building I work in, but also we have armed security guards, so
Well, that's good.
Has Permian rocks on top of Cretaceous. What's
Okay.
especially interesting here is that the Cretaceous limestone is actually marble. It has undergone heating and pressure. It has changed its state.
Yep, Matt, from what you just told me, the entire thing just did basically a belly flop over geological time. That doesn't happen without heating and pressure. So
yeah.
the fact that the limestone metamorphosed shouldn't be surprising if in fact there has been an inversion in the ordering of the sediments.
Right,
Like,
yeah, the rock had to be under so much heat and pressure that it's no longer limestone and it turned into marble. Turns out those are the same types of conditions you need to make it, like, malleable so that you can move it.
yeah. And also, there are ways to determine which direction is up when a rock was laid down,
Mhm.
depending on the kind of rock. And like, so we can tell the initial orientation of rocks in most cases. So like,
Mhm.
did you check, Matt? Did you check to see if it was wrong? Like, is
Did you check to see if there was an inversion?
right? I'm gonna go ahead
Did
and
you check?
guess no, he didn't.
Oh, but yeah.
No,
Because of this, and it's called metamorphosis. The
that's true.
Permian
Take a drink.
rocks have not
That's true.
experienced this heat and pressure, so this would actually
The rocks that were on top, that therefore would have been less hot and under less pressure.
Mhm.
Those ones
Mhm.
didn't experience the same amount of pressure and heat.
Heat
And
and pressure.
also, Matt,
Hmm.
I just want to point out that there's clearly some kind of disconformity here, but I don't know if he's going to talk about it. Oh no, he is going to talk about it. All right, there we go. Lieutenant Matt the
Okay.
Navigator for $5 says, "Was this image taken with Charles Jackson's webcam?" I know, right? Jeez.
I'm just drinking because that made me laugh.
Yeah, that's fair. Charles Jackson, okay, Chuck. On the off chance that you see this, let me know. I will spend $50 on a webcam that isn't a potato and send it to you. You can give me a
Yeah,
PO box if you want, and I'll send it.
or I'll drive it down. His
Yeah,
office is like 20 minutes from me.
there you go. See, Maddie, I'll have Maddie order it, and I'll just pay her whatever it costs, and then she can just deliver it to you.
I'll just deliver it. I'll just deliver it to your business, right?
Yeah,
To your place of business.
because Chuck, the whole like 140 that you're giving me on all your webcams is starting to get painful, dude.
Yeah. Dude, this is just my built-in Mac camera.
Yeah, he has to try to get a webcam that bad, right? Like that's not normal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not normal. You have to work hard to make it that bad.
It's like, have you been using intentionally the same webcam since 2002? Is that what's
Yeah.
happening?
Your iPhone would be better.
Right.
Like,
For
jeez.
$5, Pegajace, the Carbon 14 Mythicist says, AIG is an agglomeration of acorn-shaped appendages. Well done, and also, I don't know what all those symbols that you use there to make it weird, but I like that. Take a drink.
Ooh, cheers.
Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $2 says, you can almost run Doom on his webcam. Yeah, almost.
Almost.
Almost. Good old Doom. You know what? I should replay the original Doom. But
We
instead...
should, man,
Oh, sorry.
if we need more off-topic streams, we should do, because like I never played video games as a kid, right? You should introduce me to all of your favorite childhood video games. I can play. I have nostalgia and I'm good at. It doesn't mean anything to be good at. You're not good at Pokemon Red, but I have a lot of nostalgia for Pokemon Red. Because I had a Game Boy and that was like my only game.
Mhm.
I'm very good at original Crash Bandicoot.
Okay, that's actually a pretty tough
Um,
game.
I love my cousin had it, and recently my husband bought it for me on Switch, and it's so fun.
Oh, nice.
Um, and I'm also kind of okay at Super Mario Brothers 3 on the NES.
Okay.
Because one of my cousins had that, and he would, or that's on the SNES, maybe, I don't know. And anyway, they would bring it with them to like family Christmas, and we would all play together. And so we would all like, you got to play until you died, and then you had to hand the
Yeah,
controller over, and
that is
you know,
a universal experience, I think, with consoles and platformers and like that.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll
But
have
I am
to.
also,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I'm also kind of good at specifically Rainbow Road on Mario Kart 64.
Well, that's one of the harder ones. So, yeah, we'll have to.
I'm not good at any of the easier ones. I'm only good at Rainbow Road.
I'll have to introduce you to like Castle Wolfenstein and the original Doom and some Warcraft 2 maybe.
Amazing.
I don't even know how to get Warcraft 2 if I wanted to. All right.
That the Cretaceous rocks are older than the Permian rocks. It further indicates that
No, they're not.
Oh.
The Cretaceous rocks are younger. There's just been an inversion, Matt. Also, I do want to point out, actually, it doesn't matter. I was going to say, like, there could have been differential pressures that happened at different times during the uplift and, overthrust, but, like, who cares? It doesn't actually matter that much.
Yeah.
Also, there's another thing, which is that I'm not very familiar with this. It also could just be that rather than an inversion, there is, in fact, an overthrust of this older rock from elsewhere, which also would leave it behind evidence, which he also hasn't told us about anything, whether for or against.
Yeah.
So, like...
Yeah. So the moral of the story is that there is more than one way to get an inversion in rock layers, and his complaint, like the answer to his complaint here matters. It matters a lot which method caused this inversion.
Yeah.
And without having that data, and we're not going to look it up right now because this is a Tuesday night drinking stream.
Right. And ultimately,
without having...
The burden of proof,
without having that data, we can't give the specific answer.
The burden of proof is on the person making the outlandish claim when you make an outlandish claim, right? It's not on everyone else to disprove it, right? Like if I said, oh, hey, I actually have a pet Komodo dragon. Well, that seems crazy. People don't normally have that.
Pictures or it didn't happen, Dapper.
Right, exactly. So you would be very justified in saying, I don't believe you, Dapper, unless you can provide solid evidence of your pet Komodo dragon. At which point I would just say, well, I'm offended that you would demand such a thing. And then you should just continue on not believing me that I have a pet Komodo dragon. So
yeah, I actually got to put that phrase, pictures or it didn't happen, into an assignment description for my students.
Nice.
Because I made them all do a citizen scientist project. And guys, they loved it. They loved doing the citizen scientist project. But I did like, hey guys, if you're gonna tell me you went on a hike and counted butterflies, pictures or it didn't happen. Like just snap a selfie and upload it to the online learning site.
Yeah. I remember once doing a science fair in high school, carefully designed to get a good grade, but to not be good enough for anyone to want to advance me to like the regional science fair because I didn't want to do that. And so I was like, all right, I have to carefully calibrate this to keep my grade good, but to make sure I don't come in like first in the school.
Yeah, I once did a science fair project that involved trying to train my gerbils to go through a maze, and one of them ate the other at the end. So,
yeah.
Oops.
I remember, I think it was like 6th grade or something, and the teacher's like, "Oh, we're gonna do a spelling bee, okay? And whoever wins in 2 weeks, you're gonna go to this, this like school district spelling bee on Saturday." And the minute that she said Saturday, I was like, "Well, I'm not winning this." So
I am incapable of winning a spelling bee. I am too dyslexic.
Right.
Thank you.
And so like I went through a few rounds, but then at one point I was just like, oh, I'll just like delete a letter or something. And then, oh no, I failed. Oh, shucks.
Oh man.
It's like, guys, if you want kids to want to do these things, make them during normal school hours so it feels like a fun thing instead of like, I just lost my weekend so I can spell words.
Yeah, you gotta take this out of the like Baptist children's ministry Bible memorization competitions. Those guys in my day, they were giving away Nintendo 64s. They were giving away video game
Damn.
consoles, right? For if you could memorize the most Bible verses. That's how one of my very good friends from high school, his family was not particularly well off. And so every video game console he ever got in his life was from winning Bible memorization competitions.
I mean, hey,
Yeah.
that's yeah. Wow, my church that I went to as a kid never gave away anything like that.
Right?
Dang
Yeah,
it,
but my church also didn't do sword drills.
Hmm.
Do you know what this is?
I-
Surely you know what this
Isn't
is.
this a thing where like you like on the spot demand that a kid give you a particular Bible verse that they've been given?
No, a sword drill is you and your opponent have your Bibles in hand and
Oh.
you're given a verse to look up, and whoever can get to it fastest wins. That is a
Oh.
sword drill.
So it's just
Um,
memorizing the order of the Bible of the books in the Bible.
yeah.
Okay, that seems
Dr. Josh is really good at them.
that's good, but that seems
Yeah.
kind of lame if I'm being honest.
It does, but they tried to make it cool by calling it a sword drill because your Bible is
Yeah.
your sword.
Yeah, that's. I'm gonna hit play.
This out of order sequence is genuine. There is
Yeah?
no overthrust here.
Oh, you know what? I'm impressed that he even bothered to mention it. But did you check for an inversion?
As Burdick and Slusher documented back in 1969, no slick and slides, the Permian rocks had never been heated, and the rocks are locked together in what Burdick describes as a gear mesh fit. The rocks on the bottom were gouged out and then filled in with upper rocks.
Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $5 says, "I'm 32 years old and I am currently bribable with an N64. Bribable, yeah. And I'm currently bribable with an N64. There are
Lieutenant
definitely
Matt the
things.
Navigator, can I tell you something that exists? And another reason why I am actually a very good wife. Thank you. I got my husband an N64 and a third party cartridge that has 100 the like it's a single cartridge with like the 100 top N64 games on it. And then we got an adapter to make our TV be a lower resolution, right? So that the games look like they were supposed to. They look like they would have looked on the TV, because the reason old games look so crappy now is because our TVs are too high resolution. Anywho, so we got the adapter to make the game look like it's supposed to.
That's actually really cool because that's actually like pretty important.
It really is, because like I saw Dr. Dan's in the chat somewhere, and he was saying like, don't play GoldenEye on a modern TV, it's unplayable, it looks so bad. Not with the adapter, my dude. You gotta get the adapter.
Yeah, it really is important. Oh my goodness. I got a thing there. I got a Godzilla. That's what that is. And so we'll take a drink for Godzilla. Oh yeah.
Okay. I didn't hear Godzilla.
I'm sorry. It might be the filtering that I have on Discord. Carrie Bronson for $4.99 says, "Let the record show that there's an OnlyFan model who has more right to call herself Dr. Dino than Kenthoven, who is more qualified than Undercooked Matt." I am not terribly surprised.
Man, is it bad that I'm picturing someone in the full like raptor costume, like the inflatable one, with like a doctor coat and glasses, and does like strip teases? I'm sorry, I punched my microphone. And does like strip teases, but leaves on the raptor costume?
I mean, I don't know if that's what's being referenced, but that seems like something that you might find.
This seems like something you'd find on OnlyFans.
I mean, I have 0 OnlyFans subscriptions, so like maybe I just
So
don't
do-
know.
So do I. I'm still too much of a good kid to visit the site. I've never been. But anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, originally
I
it
don't
was
know.
not actually intended just for adult material.
Right, yeah.
It was
But as it was intended as kind of a competitor to like Patreon,
yeah,
right?
which it technically is. It's just
It
that
just leans,
well,
yeah,
the thing
to
is,
adult content.
yeah, Patreon doesn't really allow as much stuff as OnlyFans does, which means that
Mm-hmm.
people who were looking to upload that kind of content and be paid for it went to the more permissive site, and so that became like their specialty. And a few years ago, they tried to be like, all right, we're going to not allow adult content on here, and they ran like some numbers on how much that would lose them, and they realized it's like the entire platform, and they were like, okay, never mind, we're
Never
going to keep the
mind.
adult content.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I'm trying to double check on this formation. I'm having trouble even finding anything about it. So I am
Yeah.
not
Well, the
even.
paper he cited is from the 60s.
Yeah, and everything I'm
Um,
finding about this seems to indicate that there is in fact an overthrust. So
ah,
yeah, I think that this might just be raw Matt using nothing but very old sources, but I can't
yeah, and then they
guarantee
found more
that.
data.
Yeah,
Okay.
and also like this line here that Matt has clearly drawn because it isn't in the original black and white paper. I also have
Yeah.
no idea on what basis he's drawing that line, because it's also just hard
Okay.
to tell what this is. I think this is a picture of a cliff with like the top being sky and then some plants and then a rock cut, but like I'm also not sure. Hey Matt,
Gotcha.
I would love to know more about this. Could you cite something from the last 20 years and maybe
Hey,
that
Dapper,
has oh sorry.
I'm gonna go on a quick because I have more access on Google Scholar than you do. Um,
That's true,
so
you do.
what's the name of the formation? And I'll try to find something.
That is a great question. I don't even know if I remember what he said. We'll just
The Grand Canyon itself is far more of a depiction of Noah's flood, has Permian rocks
okay.
on top of Cretaceous millions of years. The Empire Mountain Thrust Fault, just south.
Okay, hold on, Matt. You just called it a thrust fault. What?
That's true.
I'm not even going to look anything up. It's a thrust fault, Matt. What do you think that means? I'm taking another drink. I forgot that he even called it a
Yeah.
thrust fault. Jeez.
Of Tucson, Arizona, has Permian rocks
Oh
on
my
top
God.
of Cretaceous. What's especially interesting here
Oh my
is
God.
that the Cretaceous limestone is actually marble. It has undergone heating and pressure. It has changed its state because of this, and it's called metamorphosis. The Permian rocks have not experienced this heat and pressure, so this would actually indicate that the Cretaceous rocks are older than the Permian rocks. It further indicates that this out-of-order sequence is genuine. There is no overthrust here. As
Matt, why is it called the Empire Thrust Fault?
Yeah.
What? Okay, look.
It's thrust faulting in the Empire Mountains of Southeast Arizona from Journal of Geology in 1934. Studies in the Empire Mountains in southeast of Tucson, Arizona show an area of large-scale thrust faulting. Adjacent mountain masses also show this type of structure and accumulating
This is a Trojan source.
evidence indicates that low-angle overthrusts are characteristic of this part of Arizona.
This is a Trojan
And
source. We're taking a drink for Trojan source. Thank you very much, Maddie.
amazing. And by the way, my source is 30 years earlier than his 60-something source.
Burdick and
Wild.
Slusher documented back in 1969. No slick and slides. The Permian rocks had never been heated. And the rocks are locked together in what Burdick describes as a gear mesh fit. The rocks on the bottom were gouged out and then filled in with upper rocks. Obviously, the rocks did not slide relative to each other.
Doc Dino for $2 says 3 minutes behind, so I hear I should start an OnlyFans. Go for it. I don't know.
I think he's citing something from Creation Research Society Quarterly from 1969.
Oh no.
Yeah, because there's a Burdick and Slusher paper from 1969 that's called "The Empire Mountains: A Thrust Fault."
Have the publication.
I'm checking the PDF.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Meh.
Wait, is this the same Burdick from the Burdick print from the Paluxy River? The fake print? Oh my goodness.
I don't
Hold
know.
on.
Clifford Burdick?
I think it might be. I think it might be the same guy who was duped by the obvious fake fossil footprint. Oh wait, there's another
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Godzilla.
I just found all of the the images he pulled. This is a creation research. This is creation research quarterly.
Hey, Matt.
I'll drop a link to the PDF in the chat.
Yeah, please do. Matt, here's the thing about Creation Research Quarterly. It just prints lies. Verifiably, it prints lies. Right? When you tell me that
Mhm.
the Creation Research Quarterly says a thing, that's the same as telling me that the Weekly World News says a thing. And guess what? I'm not worried about the adventures of Batboy, because he's fake. So, citing what
Oh,
it
I didn't
counts.
drink for Trojan Source.
Oh yeah, technically it wasn't because you were looking at a different source and that didn't quite occur to me. But it's okay. I don't care. The drink count doesn't matter, and I'm not even tracking it right now because I don't even know where all my files are because computer shit, which is hopefully going to be fixed tomorrow.
Hey,
So
guys, everybody light a candle to the tech gods.
Seriously, I don't currently have any incense for my thurible, but that is something that I plan to fix.
Amazing. I'm very excited for that.
I'm gonna get some. So this is really not designed for my favorite incense, which is indirect burn. But I have been able to locate some incense cones that will actually stand relatively well in the thurible, I think, and that are
Okay.
frankincense direct burn, and I do like frankincense. So
Dapper was calling me a bad Anglican earlier. By the way, I would like to point out that I'm specifically Episcopalian because Episcopalians are specifically LGBTQ affirming and not all Anglican churches are. So I am specifically Episcopalian because LGBTQ affirming. But yeah, I don't go to the services when we have the incense and the thingamajig that you go swing with.
thurible.
Because the thurible.
Yeah.
Because it messes with my asthma.
Have you considered
So
that maybe
don't-
that's just because your faith isn't strong enough to overcome the asthma?
Possibly. My lungs are Satanists. The rest of my body is Episcopalian, but my lungs in particular worship Satan.
That makes sense. That checks out.
Yeah, that checks out.
Okay, so they hate the holy incense. So what you really need to get is
do,
unholy
yeah.
incense. You got to figure out what do the Satanists use for incense.
Ooh, yeah,
Like,
and then I could breathe that.
like maybe it's whatever dragon's blood is, which I think is just a tree resin, which is also what myrrh is. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay,
Actually, I do like myrrh too. Maybe we should get some myrrh as well. And I know that those are the two incenses from like the Gospel of Luke. Is it Luke with the three wise men?
I don't. Yeah, Luke has the. Is it bad that I know the Luke story so well because
That's the one everyone knows well.
Yeah, but when I was a child, it took me until like last year to realize how weird this was. But it's also like super wholesome, right? So, guys, my dad's family is pretty big. He's the youngest of 4, and then they're all married and all have kids, right? And so there were a total of 10 of us grandkids. And then so like at Christmas when I was a kid, we would all go to my grandma Clark's house and we would all stay in her little house, right? So that's 10 grandkids plus 8 like of my like dad and his siblings and their spouses and then my grandma, right? So there's 19 of us all packed into her house. And she took the Christmas story from Luke and wrote it as like a script format with parts for everyone, right? So me and my sister and one of our cousins who's like our same age and also a girl, we were the angels and we came and we got to sing a little song, right? And so we like had this like family
drink for Godzilla.
Cheers. We had a family like telling of the birth story and sort of a like table read of a script. And I always thought that you guys tell me in chat is that I'm seeing so many pride and trans flags in the chat and it makes me so happy. But please tell me if that is sweet and wholesome or deeply culty because I can't tell. I always thought it was sweet and wholesome.
I think it's sweet and wholesome, broadly speaking. I mean, a lot of things like that are context dependent. And I don't think putting on a little play based on a scripture story is in and of itself culty. Right. So
Yeah,
It's the kind of thing I think that non-cult religions as well as cult religions would both do.
that's true. Yeah.
Because yeah, there's a that something is a
It's
cult doesn't
very
mean everything that goes on in that cult is itself culty.
so the problem with it, I think, is that it's actually very um Midwest farms subculture is what it is of which is what my whole dad's family all is, right? They all
Right.
grew up in like farming communities, right? On these like big family farms, you know, mostly doing wheat. And in the like 40s, right? And 50s and 60s, like um a family with 5 to 10 children could work a few hundred acres of a wheat field by themselves, right? And sell that as a cash crop. And so you have all these little communities that are out in the middle of nowhere. Where my grandma grew up, their school didn't go past, I think, 6th grade. Their little community, it was a one-room schoolhouse, little community school, right? And so like you had to go to through 8th grade and then to high school, she had to go live in town with another family, right? And so you have these like, what do you do for entertainment before TV when you live in the middle of nowhere? Well, your little family puts on plays,
Yeah.
right? Like the kids write poems, you put on plays, you do stuff together. And so like that's always what it felt like to me of this coming out of like how she would entertain her family when she was a kid, you know?
I'm gonna point out.
Um
Oh, there's another Godzilla. My goodness.
Oh,
I'm gonna point out. Maddie is
cheers.
going on tangents as if we're gonna cut this off instead of continue on for a little extra.
I know, we have to continue on. I know. I'm sorry.
Science
Ugh.
side up for two. Oh my goodness, another one. Science side up for $2 also says I need a drink with a Godzilla, a Mothra, and a Carmen, and so
You
we'll
sure
take a drink
did.
for that too. Lieutenant Math Navigator for $2 says, was Roger not available for comment? Yeah. Hey, we gotta find out which part of a human anatomy and presumably genitalia those rocks were. Okay, to be fair though, I only point out that the times he says that things are genitals because it's particularly amusing. He doesn't actually typically do that. He's usually saying lungs or heart are his actual go-tos. Muscles another
Did
big
you
one.
see um God, was it Hegseth or Matt Gates? It was one of the Trump uh horrible men who saw a Georgia O'Keeffe painting and was like, I don't even know what that is. I've never seen anything
Oh
like that.
no. Oh no. Oh man. Oh. That sounds like a Hegseth thing to do.
Oh, that sounds like I think it was Hegseth. I really think it was Hegseth.
Yeah,
I'm gonna check my own source right now. Hit
because
play. I'm gonna source check myself.
honestly, I think Hegseth is the kind of guy who the only time he's ever had sex, if he ever has been with the lights off and it's been missionary. Um,
Yeah.
and whereas Kash Patel seems like the kind of guy who would, if he were in even a slightly different political environment, talk about all the girls he's slaying on the side and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah.
Pega Jace, there's a whole long thing here. Oh, help me out. Pega Jace, the there's something with a C. Stupid YouTube blocking everything off. The Carbon 14 Mythicist, that's what it is. I remember that. Sends for $2 a pride flag, trans flag, and then that 3 times. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And we are in fact a pro trans rights server or channel. Not this isn't a server. Yeah, channel.
But
Okay,
your Discord server is also pro trans rights. We love trans
that's true.
rights
We do.
here.
Yep. Yeah. And while there are individual exceptions, we broadly like trans people. Turns out there's always
Correct.
individual exceptions in any demographic.
The rescuing device was that the rocks slid very slowly, and
Have a counter for that, Matt?
that is why the rocks didn't heat up or melt. And people mention the San Andreas Fault in California as an example of this.
No, they don't, because that's not a fault that's thrusting up over anything else. That's a side to side. One pit is moving laterally compared to the other one. The if I remember correctly, the California plate is moving north in sort of a counterclockwise push, whereas the North American plate is not doing so. So no, Matt. I'm gonna take a drink. If the San Andreas fault were a overthrust fault, then the rock would be going over instead of going side to side, and you can see this if you just go look at it. Right? I'm taking that drink. Like you can go look at places where
Sorry,
people
I'm
have
still
put.
fact checking myself.
Okay. You can look at places where people have built roads or fences or something across the San Andreas Fault, and then there's been a slip in the fault because it's a slip fault, not an overthrust fault. And then you can see the horizontal displacement between the two sides of the San Andreas Fault because it's a slip fault, Matt. That's why we call it that. Is because it's slipping side to side, not overthrusting. This man is infuriating frequently. Victoria Macarios for €5 says Chihuahua, which is the Carmen emoji. AIG for canonically Kaiju Carmen. And that's the AIG is a bag of drinks, so we'll drink. And then there's just a whole bunch of Pride and trans flags. Thank you very much. It is, in fact, still Pride Month, which means that the flags that were most appropriate for Flag Day, for the Flag Day stream, are, in fact, Pride flags. Because Maddie didn't show up, but there was a Flag Day stream.
I know. I'm sorry. I was my husband was out of town, so I was solo parenting.
Ugh.
And then I fell asleep because I had played Candyland and we'd sorted her rocks and we'd colored and we'd watched all the Super Kitties and then I was all done.
All right.
Well, the San Andreas Fault is not an overthrust.
Exactly, Matt. So then why are you comparing these two things? What the... My God, Matt. What the...
Listen, sorry, I zoned out and didn't hear half the dumb because I was trying I can't find the quote. I don't know. I'm just randomly quoting Instagram, so
That's
I'm
fair.
probably spreading misinformation. I'm so sorry. But I believe it.
It is rocks that are sliding beside each other.
Mm-hmm.
So again,
Yeah?
the gear mesh interlocking of the layers show that there was no movement between the layers.
What? I'm gonna do it. What the fuck does comparing this to a slip fault have anything to do with you talking about why you think this isn't a thrust fault or overthrust fault, even though literally everyone else thinks it does, except for two hacks, one of whom couldn't figure out a cartoonishly bad card footprint was cartoonishly bad. And also, that was carved upside down in the rock, Matt. Why do you think that they're the only ones who are making this argument? And how the hell do you think comparing it to a slip fault is in any way going to help?
Yeah, how's that gonna work, friend? Like, come on. So I do appreciate everybody in chat, specifically Joshua Geese, for my like, oh, I'm familiar with Super Kitties. Listen, I will take Super Kitties over Paw Patrol or Rubble and Crew any day. It was a big step up. There's some variation in the narrative, at least.
Remember,
Paw Patrol has the same narrative structure every single time.
ACAB includes Paw
I was
Patrol.
losing my mind. ACAB includes specifically Chase.
Well, yeah.
Listen, we can have feelings about Marshall and Sky, right? Rubble is just a construction guy, so ACAB just includes Chase.
Okay, fair enough.
Locked together. And this is secular scientists that agree to this. This isn't some
No,
creationist...
that's from Creation International, man.
Just take a drink for the lie. Secular scientists aren't generally publishing in the Creation Research Quarterly quote-unquote journal, Matt.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, the Answers Research Journal, I believe, is now up to like 1 or 2 publications for 2026.
Wow, they're pumping it out. They're close to my numbers for 2026.
It's amazing that their entire journal is like approximately the output of a single scientist in terms of like volume of studies.
Propaganda. These are not overthrust.
Matt, accusing someone else of doing propaganda while you're lying about who your source is not a good look.
They, again, are genuine sequences of reversals of the evolutionary timescale.
Ha ha ha! I get it. See,
Haha.
someone someone
Haha.
put a Charles Darwin book under the discount sign, and it was in the wrong section. Oh my god! I'll take a
Oh,
drink.
that's so funny. Oh my gosh.
Of course, it was actually probably just a creationist who was being like a dick and misplacing a book
Yeah.
in the store.
I'm guessing it was like a teenage creationist who was
Yeah,
being like, I'm so cool. You
yeah.
guys,
That sounds like something
look at
that
me.
like a 13 or 14-year-old creationist would have done. Mhm.
Yeah.
Just like some edgy atheist is like, "Ha! I'm gonna sneak the Bible into the fiction section." I'm like, okay, cool, good job.
Mhm.
You just made some employee at the bookstore's life harder for what?
Right.
Great.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, that's just a dick move. Lieutenant Math Navigator for $5 says the Journal of Applied Bullshit has the output of a particularly bored grad student.
Yeah. I'm working on
Oh, sorry.
like 3 papers at once. We're trying to get all
Oof.
3 out this year.
Before you lose funding for
Um,
everything.
yeah, before I lose funding, and also so that I'm actually trying to get 2 out before the semester starts. One of them I'm on my final set of copy edits, and then we can submit it. And then the other's got a lot of work to do. But I'm trying to get those on my resume for like this next academic hiring cycle.
Yeah.
Because even in submission looks better than nothing, right? Um,
Oh, yeah,
so
by
I might
far.
be able to sneak a 1 in preparation onto my resume.
Yeah.
You know, if it's out of my dissertation, I feel okay because I've got like this paper that I'm on copy edits for, and then probably 2 more out of my dissertation. And so if it's out of my dissertation, I think I'm okay with saying like in preparation, uh, on the resume. But then I'm also trying to get like a GFD, so like Journal of Fluid Dynamics paper or
Mm.
2
Yeah.
with my current postdoc work.
You just
And so yeah,
you just reminded me
with
of the
any
time. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And with any luck, 2026 will be my year. 2026, 2027 will be like my year of publications.
Okay.
Uh, but I have to work on this whole being able to breathe thing. Y'all, if you don't know, the month of May, I was in the ER 4 separate times for an asthma attack that never ended. We figured it out. We figured out what was going on the 4th visit to the ER, not to mention lots of visits to my doctor and things. But we found a solution. And so I couldn't breathe for a month. And you have to be able to breathe to think, it turns out. And so
Yeah,
I'm
I've
kind of
heard
playing
that.
catch up right now, and I'm a little stressed about it because my research funding ends in a year, and I want to be a professor so bad because I'm so good at it. Anyway, my lungs are cursed, Petite Flower 5259. They were so mad.
You talking about getting
Anyway,
all these papers together so that you can have
yeah,
something to prove that you're, like doing stuff. Just reminds me of the
yeah,
time that uh Kent Hovind was on Modern Day Debate, and a super chat asked where they could find his CV, and he,
yeah.
even after being told what a CV was, still didn't know what it was, and his answer was, "Well, I went to the School of Hard Knocks." Which, great, cool, Kent. That's exactly what everyone wanted to know.
How many papers did you write about that, though?
None papers,
Oh
none.
man, none papers.
Well, I mean, to be fair, that's how many papers I've written. I just don't go around calling myself a doctor
Yeah,
and proclaiming to be an expert in things I demonstrably know nothing about.
yeah. You
Regardless,
present yourself as a like lay enthusiast in a lot of scientific disciplines and as like being generally knowledgeable about like a few specific fields,
Yeah,
right? Which is correct, right? That is an accurate description of you and how you engage in these fields. There's a lot of stuff that you know a lot more about than I do, right? Because I don't know anything about paleontology, right? I know very little about geology. I know more about geophysics than I do geology. um Geology in particular. But um yeah, you're a very knowledgeable like lay enthusiast. That's how I would describe you.
yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
That's also how I would describe myself. So Lieutenant Matt the Navigator
Yeah.
for $5 says, "Well, Matt thinks about as well as he isn't breathing. Sorry, Matt thinks about as well as when he isn't breathing as when he isn't or is.
As when he is breathing, as when he isn't. I
Yeah, you
assume is
put
what
isn't.
Matt is
Yeah,
trying to
okay,
say.
right, which is
I
accurate.
like it.
Peggy
Yeah.
Jace the Carmen 14 Mythicist for $2 says, "Here's to an Annus Mirabilis," which that would be nice. Which, by the way, is not anus; it's annus with a geminate n. So it's not an anus; it is a year. Latin,
Okay.
everybody.
A year of what?
A wonderful
Year of
year.
papers?
No, a
Oh, a
wonderful year.
wonderful year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, mirabilis
Hey.
is like wonderful or great or fantastic or something like that. And annus is
Okay.
year.
Fingers crossed.
And it is spelled with 2 N's, not 1. Lieutenant Math Navigator for $2 says, "This typo is brought to you by 0515 report time." Yeah, that is pretty early.
Cheers.
Yeah. And we are halfway to
Mhm.
having the other Matt, but I have bad news, which is that we are less than halfway to getting the goal finished. And depending on how much we have longer, I might set a smaller goal for an additional amount of time, but it'll probably involve more super chats than it would have if we had just met the goal, because I can only put the goal in for certain increments and they're inconveniently like spaced. So here we go.
Mhm.
There are far more problems with the geologic column around the world. What I have presented to you are examples after examples and
No, Matt, you've provided no examples, but okay.
evidence after evidence that there are layers that are out of sequence and order, evolutionary speaking, that
Well, first of all, it would be evolutionarily speaking. Second, evolution has nothing to do with the ordering of like rocks. It has to do with biology. Those two things comport with each other. And third, every single example that you've given has not been out of order. It's just been out of the naive like Steno's law order. Because one of the things about Steno's laws, which are sort of like the foundational principles of geology, one of them is that older rocks are lower down. But if you actually read the entirety of that principle, it's that in undisturbed strata, older rocks are lower down and younger rocks are higher up. But all you've given us is examples of unconformities, which still isn't a problem for Steno's law. And also, you've given us examples of times when there is not undisturbed strata, like folds or thrust faults, which, like, yeah, we know about those. Naram to put sends a blank chat for $1, and then Science Side up for $5 says, "For the love of God, let me react to best but not good Matt with a Godzilla, a Mothra, and a Carmen."
Mhm. I finished
there
my
are
beer.
Oh, is it time for a break so you can get another one then?
Yes, unless you would just want to keep going while I grab one.
No, I think I am also running low on my drink. I think I was going to go
Okay.
until one of us basically said I'm out, and then I was going to take the break. So,
Amazing.
during this break, we will be getting the teaser trailer for the next episode of Star Trek Adventures, which is planned to be this Friday, and I do believe it will be the glorious return of Gloriana Dulas.
Yes. Yes, I am planning on being there this Friday.
Awesome. All right. Well, in that case, here is the intermission, and we will be back shortly. Next time on Star Trek Endurance.
First Officer's Log, Stardate 61151.1. We have just received orders to head to the Takara system. This mission is delicate enough to be classified as top secret, command eyes only. Even I don't have all the details. What I can say is that we are to meet with Dr. Jabreen, the lead scientist we'll be working with. Our orders are to help supervise the field test of a new, improved quantum torpedo that Jabreen and his team are currently developing. Starfleet intelligence has concerns that, with the Romulan border less than 20 light years from Takara, they may know about and intend to steal the device. The crew is expected to be on alert and to provide whatever security measures are needed to ensure no one gains access to the potential weapon, especially the Romulans. It cannot be stressed enough that the Federation does not want them to have access to something that could conceivably affect the balance of power in the quadrant.
Okay, I am back. I have given Maddie about like I don't know 7-8 ish minutes, and I don't know where she is. So I'm assuming that she has been intercepted by like a toddler or something like that. So I'm going to give my read these super chats and give my after the break thing, and then maybe Maddie will be back with us. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Pega Jace, the Carbon 14 mythicist, says Annus Mirabilis often specifically refers to the 1905, the year that Einstein published 4 different papers that each revolutionized their field. Yeah, I thought you were just testing my Latin, which is apparently better than my history of science. So, oops. Then Joshua Geese for $5 says, a super chat on behalf of Fearmonger. May your vehicular woes be less expensive than it seems. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that you're having vehicle troubles, Fearmonger. That is always unpleasant and usually expensive. Maddie was raptured, says Ashley loves Baha. Yeah, maybe. Maybe she was raptured. I guess it's not impossible. Which, by the way, means that we are 21 super chats away from the goal of having a better mat. So now that we are back from a break, I do want to say thank you so much to everyone who has stuck with me, which looks like virtually everyone, if not everyone. It really does help when people, oh, Maddie is back, show up, like the stream, share the stream, chat, even just actually typing in chat helps YouTube say that people like this stream because people engage with it. But this channel is supported essentially entirely. It's not quite true, like something like, I think 13-ish% of what the channel brings in comes from like just people watching videos and ads playing on them, but virtually all of it is either from super chats, memberships, or the Patreon. And so if you enjoy what I do and you want to see that continue, Patreon and the memberships are 2 great ways to make that happen. The Patreon is where I get to keep the most of it, but there are also some great perks for the memberships, so I get why people would prefer that over Patreon. Patreon starts at $1 a month. You can get a 15% discount if you go annually, which means you can get a year worth of all the benefits of the minimum membership for less than $11 US. But also the memberships start at $1.99. They both give you early access to my videos, like Maddie was talking about earlier. They both give you access to my Discord server, which I have on the authority of many people who are in there, is actually one of their favorite like places to go for a welcoming and accepting community, which is good because that's one of the things I want to build, you know. And the memberships also give you the green name in chat as well as the membership badge. So yeah, that's also a fun thing there. And yeah, if annual or a monthly thing isn't your thing, but you still want to help out, there are still other ways. There's a merch store listed under this channel that you can get merch from. There is also the I have 2 wish lists in the description. I have a Steam wish list and a Throne wish list. Steam is obviously video game stuff, and Throne is going to be more physical items. So there's books, there's snacks, there's, I think that pretty much covers almost everything on there. I think there's 1 garment on there. So there. Yeah, so if you want to help out that way, that's that. Also, if you want to, and this is something that doesn't actually send money to me, but if you want to help my videos come out earlier or faster, or just stay coming out fast, there is a section in my description called "How to Render for Me." And so basically, the way that my animations get done is I upload frames to a render farm called Sheepit, and that renders frames for me, and then I download those frames and turn them into an animation. But in order to get my frames rendered by other people, I have to have points on Sheepit, and points are earned when people using my login render frames for Sheepit. So other people will upload frames, and then those people will render them. Also, if I happen to have frames uploaded, and you're rendering for me on Sheepit, you will get my frames preferentially, assuming your computer can render them. And so if you want to do that for me, just go to that section in the description. There will be a website. Go to the website, download the client that's appropriate to your operating system, use the login information in the How to Render For Me section. Boom, you're done rendering for me. Well, once you start up the client, obviously. All right, Maddie, welcome back. I can't hear you. Oh, there it is.
I'm sorry. I muted while I was eating very crunchy cookies.
Oh, much appreciated. All right. I'm going to hit play unless you have anything else you want to add. All right. We still have 12 minutes of this, Maddie.
Hundreds of these in North America alone. And even if there was just one of these, it would invalidate the geologic column, and ultimately evolutionary theory.
But you haven't presented any, Matt, right?
Yeah.
Right. And also, one thing that creationists seem to forget, and that has been brought to my mind very acutely just recently, is that you can tell based on your sample how likely you are to have an idea overturned with future samples, right? Because you can
Mhm.
tell if you have an idea as to how big your population is, right? So if we're talking like number of strata on Earth that are identifiable as separate strata, right? And then you know the sample size that you've sampled, which would be across all of geology. You can then figure out how likely your conclusion is that this represents deep time versus not representing deep time by how many of your sample are compatible with deep time, and then comparing that to your sample size. And there's actual statistical math that you can use. Most
Mhm.
people just use a statistical calculator, right? Because like, who wants to sit there and do that by hand? But what you'll find is that our confidence in our conclusion is somewhere around 99 point quite a few nines percent confidence, and our margin of error is so close to zero that like you can just ignore it and call it zero, which means there
Yeah.
just isn't an option that we're ever likely to find anything. Like, you can hold out hope, but like I said in my video that I uploaded to early access today, I would be as reasonable in as holding out hope that maybe like 4 gold bars are just going to quantum tunnel into my bedroom. It's not impossible, but like I, I'm not going to base my financial future on that possibility.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Dapper, you missed me in chatting about I was late coming back because the 3-year-old was giving me her argument as to why she didn't need to go to bed actually.
Well, I did say that I suspected you might have been intercepted by a child.
I was. And this turned into why she shouldn't go to school tomorrow, actually. Because she goes to a
Hmm.
little like daycare preschool, right? Um, and it was because she has a hurt leg. So she
Oh,
got a little cut on her leg like 3 weeks ago and insists it still needs a band-aid. And I'm not fighting the anti-band-aid fight, right?
fair.
But then I told her, well, let's check your leg in the morning and we'll see how it is. And she was like, okay, but you can't take the band-aid off. You can't
Oh, of
look at
course.
it.
You just have to trust me. It hurts, mommy.
You have to trust me, it hurts and I can't go to school because I have a hurt leg.
Ah, yes. How
Oh,
clever.
and she was too scared to lay in her bed, and I didn't quite get the answer for why she was scared. I think it
Monsters,
was because
probably.
it's too scary for me. No, because 'cause we've been on a monster kick. And so me being the parent I am, the first time she said there's a monster in my room, I was like, "Great, here's your stick. It's a monster stick. I want you to take it and bang on your mattress and say, 'Monsters go home.'" Uh, so we do that a lot. And then last night there were monsters and Monsters Go Home wasn't working. And so I asked her what she thought the monsters wanted and she said a snack. And so we went out and we set out a snack for the monsters. She was very excited to see that it had been eaten this morning by the
Uh,
monsters and not
obviously.
mommy. Obviously, it was eaten by the monsters. Jeez. So tonight she said, no, there's no monsters, but she just didn't want to go to bed.
I feel like that might have been the actual problem all along.
Maybe. Listen, yeah, maybe. But if your 3-year-old says there's a monster, you gotta jump in.
Yeah.
You gotta dive in headfirst with that. They're talking about something, you know?
Sapphire Plushie Sorceress Light for $2 says, imagine budgeting for 4 gold bars and only getting 3. Yeah, what a nightmare that would be.
Wild. That'd be a nightmare.
All right, here we go.
And because there are far more than just one, it also invalidates the geologic history of
If there were far more than one, you would have given us a real one, Matt.
Earth, because
You
these are
sure
supposed
would
to be
have.
sequences of time, and if these are not sequences of time, they cannot use these for evidence of time.
I like how the quote here is from John Woodmarap. You know, not an evolutionist. In fact, yeah,
Yeah.
no, this whole list, which is like, oh, geologist. Yeah, no, John Woodmarap is a geologist in the same way that RFK Jr. is a medical doctor.
Yeah. Whew.
So in conclusion, these are not thrust faults. They are invalidations of the fictitious geologic column and
Because a known moron and liar said so. Cool.
Yeah. Cool. Cool.
deep time. I am astonished by the secular camp and the atheist who can see this evidence for themselves and deny it, and then get mad at us for showing them that they were lied to, and then they take the liar's side, defending them.
I
Imagine-
hate it when all I want to say is, no, that's what you're doing.
Yeah, but it's literally true in this. It's just projection.
But
I'm taking a drink.
like, it's
for it.
just projection. It's just projection. But Deborah, can I tell you how much sleep in my life I have lost over when I hear an argument from, like, it's young earth creationists, it's from like the far right, and they're saying like, this is what people in, like, basically saying this is what I, Maddie, do, and it's all like they're just listing the things that I think they do, and I want to be like, no, but you, no,
Right.
but that's what you do,
Yeah.
and then like, and then I lose sleep because I'm like, wait a second. Am I also projecting? How do I know? Blah, blah, right? Like, I go into like an existential crisis for a minute, and then I like reassure myself with facts and numbers. But man, there's actually like, okay, Kirk Cameron.
Oh no. Was not expecting to hear about Kirk Cameron, but go on.
You weren't expecting that to be the next word out of my mouth? Okay. Kirk Cameron recently got in some hot water in the like right-wing conservative world.
Really? I did not hear about that.
Yeah, well, because he on a podcast he does like said that he was questioning the idea of eternal conscious torment.
Okay.
Right? So not like saying everybody just goes to heaven, right? But just that he was questioning and thinking about the idea of eternal conscious torment.
An idea which is not universal in Christianity and never has been.
Yeah, that's not universal in Christianity and never has been. And like his son was basically presenting him with other pictures of
Oh, Maddie, did you? Okay.
No, my brain glitched, not my internet.
Got it.
Other pictures of like other theological answers to like what is hell other than eternal conscious torment, right? And like he was talking about how surprised he was that the most vitriol he got was not from the left, but from his own camp, right? But then he was like, not from the left who hate us, hate family, hate this. And I'm like, whoa, right? Like he just defaulted into listing things that like to him, the other camp think, right?
Just maybe it's actually that the left hates the idea of eternal conscious torment because they like people broadly speaking and don't want them to be tortured for eternity.
Yeah, but like you saw this like this rhetoric just came up and he just spit it out, and he was like, how could my side that like loves the truth and loves family, and he didn't say that, but I was like, oh, you're so close. Oh, you're so close.
This is the kind of clip that you put in r/self-aware wolves.
r/self-aware wolves. Yeah, it was people like his longtime like partner, Banana Man, what's his face? Ray Comfort, like came out and made a statement against Kirk Cameron.
Oh geez.
Yeah.
Imagine having a slightly different picture of the afterlife, but still affirming the Trinity, the divinity of Christ.
Not even having the slightly, but like acknowledging that other pictures of the afterlife exist.
Oh, drink for Mothra.
Right? Cheers, Mothra. Because he wasn't even saying he thought that, right? He was just saying it was something he was thinking about and considering.
Jeez.
Right? And that meltdown, full meltdown.
That's a big "Are we the baddies" moment.
Yeah, are we the baddies? Like
maybe.
Maybe.
Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $2 says it's not just projection, it's cope. True. Jillian Wren for $2 says a belated Flag Day offering. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, Fearmonger, says, why does your browser auto-translate chat? I thought I had switched that off, and I don't know the answer to that question because I went into settings and I turned off auto-translate, and it's doing it, and I don't know how to stop it other than switching browsers. So, like, maybe I'm going to switch browsers. So, like, just stand by. I don't know why it's doing that. I hate it, honestly. I would like things to auto-translate when I ask them to auto-translate. My Unfinished Journey for $6.66 says, hail Nero, Daps, and Maddie, and hail integrity wherever it may be found. Unfortunately, not in Matt's head. Correct. Not in Matt's head. All right, we're going to hit play. Because the longer we talk about Kirk Cameron, the longer we have to deal with this Matt video.
That's true.
It is complete insanity. But let's move on. I digress.
Says the former Breatharian. Matt, you took seriously the idea that maybe eating was optional and that calories weren't a real thing. You don't get to call other people insane, bro. Sorry.
Oh, by the way, I've switched beers.
Oh.
This is still a Belgian quad, but it's called DNR, and it's from a different Oklahoma brewery.
I hope that it does not actually count as a DNR.
No.
That's good. Actually, I did hear a story from someone I know who's a nurse, and she encountered a nurse asking someone, like, "Oh, hey, where's your DNR?" And the person saying, "I don't have one." And the nurse saying, like, "Oh, would you want me to go get you one?" I was like, "No." Well, why not? It's like, because I would like to be resuscitated. And then saying, "Are you sure? Like, are you trying to kill this person?"
Fuck? That is a real thing with like disabled folks, right? How disabled people like interact with the medical field. There is an assumption, a built-in assumption. Yeah, like clearly you hate your life and don't want to continue living, right? So that's a way there is sort of like medical abuse against like the disabled community. It's a pretty common thing.
That is not great.
But I brought us down. I brought the energy down. I'm so sorry.
No, I mean, to a large extent, it was me. Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $5 says, Ray Comfort is more offended by the fact that someone is thinking than any thought they have. Yeah, I mean, maybe that is that Kirk Cameron is showing an inkling of brain power. Sharon Lane, K2B, sends $1. Thank you very much. All right, that means that we only have 15 to go, but how much time do we have to get those 15? 20 minutes. We could do it. We could do it.
I believe in us.
Here's the most recent refinement. I love this, by the way. The Geological Society of America has claimed to be able to date parts of the scale with an accuracy of 0.05% accuracy.
That would be error, presumably.
Yeah, presumably, but also like...
Yeah.
Just putting in a laughing meme doesn't mean anything, Matt. You need to actually have an argument, and so far, your arguments have all been bullshit. So, like, I don't think you have one. So, Landon Knoll for $19.99 says, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on your time zone, latitude, and amount of nuclei that were produced by stars near the peak of the Lily Maddow curve at Dapper Dinosaur and Dr. Maddie. Ice is a bag of AIG. They sure are, and we will take a drink for that. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Okay.
Such horrible precision. You should...
What do you mean such horrible precision? 0.05 is pretty damn good, even if he said 0.5, which I don't actually remember which one he said. Both of those are pretty darn good.
That's pretty darn good. Yeah.
Also, some guy from January 1976 says a thing. Sorry.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? Like, I can see a way where this quote is true, right? Because you can't radiometrically date all types of rocks. And so, like, using radiometric dating to date rocks isn't useful unless you for sandstone. What's that? What type of rock is that, Dapper? I can't think of the word.
For sandstone? I mean, it's oh, you mean sedimentary?
Thank you, sedimentary rocks.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because like, so you can't use radiometric dating to date sedimentary rocks. And so like radiometric dating is not like to date the entire geologic column isn't feasible unless you already have the geologic column like known, right? Because you can only date for like sedimentary rocks, you can only date like what's above and below to give a range for it, right? And so like I
I
can
mean,
see
yeah,
a
there
way
is
where
that, yeah.
yeah, like if that's the context of this quote, then sure, you know?
And of course, we know that creationists doing quotes are almost
Yeah.
always doing quote mines. Because again, I need
Yeah.
to point out, I say this a lot, but it's really important for people to understand.
Mhm.
There has been if I remember correctly, more than one book published that is just out of context quotes from so-called evolutionists for creationists to use so that they don't have to bother going and actually finding their own quotes.
Okay, and also give me a second because he gave us a proper quote, a proper citation here. So I'm gonna Google Scholar it really
All right.
fast.
I'm going to hit
Pragmatism versus material. No, wait, because I can't copy and paste
right,
it
right.
out of the
I know.
screenshot.
I know.
Okay, pragmatism
Versus materialism.
versus
Sorry. You go. I'm just going to shut up.
materialism in stratigraphy. Stratigraphy. Amazing. I've got it pulled up. Go ahead and
Okay.
press
Even
play, and then I'll
question
read
why
it.
they get dates wrong so often. Everything they feed the public is for the story they want to wield. They have no evidence. They make it up as they go along.
My God, the projection is so hard. I'm taking a drink just for the projection.
Okay.
Remember, this is the guy who made up an entire DNA, was it
hmm
barcode for gorillas that no one has been able to find a source for ever, and then presented it as if it was super different from the human one. And then we actually checked actual sources that did actual DNA barcoding. The gorilla one was nearly identical to the human section that he had cited.
Amazing.
That's who we're talking about. Also, the guy who
Yeah.
said Morganucodon didn't have molars while showing pictures of its molars in the article. The guy who, by the way, lied about being published by PLOS. That guy. My Unfinished Talk for $5 says, don't hell shame, like and share the stream instead. There you go. Let's see. Actually, I want to say Conscious Eternal Torment has a long history of being questioned in especially Eastern Christianity. So like that's a thing that is like a whole branch of Christianity has been like, maybe not. You know, not necessarily no, but like maybe no.
There's also Dan McClellan recently did a great video that was talking about different views. No, it was on Data Over Dogma. His Data Over Dogma podcast episode, like not the most recent one, but the one before it, was on concepts of hell in the Bible and showing that there's a like
There isn't just one.
what there isn't just one, it's changing over time,
Mhm.
etc. so forth. Okay,
Joshua Geese for $5 says Raw Matt probably thinks sedimentary rocks lays about in comfy chairs. I mean, he probably does. DM Wing sends a $1 chat. Thank you very much. And then the Real Melly for $5 says, Happy belated Flag Day. Happy belated Flag Day to you too. The man responsible for the holiday was from my hometown. Oh, I did not know that. I celebrated by wearing a queer flag in my local pride parade. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. I feel like if there were a big pride parade here, it would be too hot for me to want to even bother. Cause like, hey, come for the pride parade. It's gonna be 105 Fahrenheit, which is like 41 or 42 Celsius or something. Like, oof, it's not easy. June is a rough month around here. June is actually, I believe, our hottest month.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we have a monsoon that happens later on in the summer, so that beats the temperatures down.
We are entering the time of year that I don't want to be in Oklahoma. It's heat and humidity are equal,
Ooh.
and always above like 85 freedom.
Ooh.
And in August, it gets a little less humid, right? But August is where we hit the like over 100.
Yeah.
And so I really don't want to be here then, but it's like it's too humid. I don't like it. One of my closest friends lives in Maine, and I just want to crash at her house for like 3 months. Do you think that's normal? Is that a normal request?
It's not a normal request, it's a normal desire.
R.
Because not all desires are normally expressed. Swift Flight for $5 says, the projection is strong with Matt here. AIG is a sack of Richards. Not clever, but still true. And I will take a drink for it.
Amazing.
By the way, I'm having the same rum and the same cola as on the previous Saturday stream. So there you go.
There were at least 6 different skeletons found on the island of Guadeloupe in the 1800s.
It's Guadalupe, Matt. That E is not silenced because of Spanish. I'm taking a drink for Matt can't even pronounce basic things in Spanish. Guadalupe. Jeez. To be fair, I think he's Canadian, so he's probably more familiar with French. But then again, most of the Canadians I know are atrocious at French too, so like I don't know. Landon Knoll for 199 says 15 days to Canada Day. I believe that is because it's July 1st is Canada Day. Which by the way, Kip Davis tried to tell me that there's no 4th of July in Canada, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure your calendars don't just skip a day over there in Canada, man. He's like, well, there's no fireworks. I'm like, okay, well that's probably true.
These skeletons were of completely modern human beings, found in rocks dated 25 million years old, according to evolution.
No, Matt, according to the Evolution Creation Encyclopedia. You put the citation on the screen. I'm just going to take a drink for Matt lying about this.
Yeah. Sorry, I found this paper and I'm trying to make sense of it.
Sydney Raptor for $2 redo says AIG is a bag of raw mutts. Also, probably not original. Also, Sydney Raptor, isn't it like 2 a.m. or something over there? Like, hold on. I have to check. Like, how? Because the only person I regularly talk to in Australia is in Perth, so I can't like remember the exact time difference to Sydney. But like, are you watching me in the middle of the night? Oh no, it's like noon. Never mind. All right, cool. You know what? Here's the thing. Because Australia is pretty much all just like over 12 hours away from me, I can never keep it straight. Because it's always like tomorrow or something. And that just throws me for a loop. And I just can't do it. I know I could just do the math, but I never remember how to.
Yet according to evolutionary theory, humans haven't been around for at least 100 to 200,000 years.
No, they have been around for that long, Matt. Not that they haven't been. It's more like 200 to 300,000, but closer to 2,000 more likely. I'm taking another drink. This guy is hurting my brain.
So now you probably know why these skeletons are not on display.
No,
One
I
of them was
don't,
on
because you haven't even convinced me they exist. Because your only citation was to the Creation Evolution Encyclopedia, which again is like citing Weekly World News. Joshua Geese for $2 says counting down from wheat, like 8 in French. And Borgenpori says I think it's noon on that side of the continent. Yeah, it is. It's almost 1. Yep. Yeah, actually trying to coordinate. So like, you guys probably saw Manya, or maybe some of you did, but Manya was in the last 2 episodes of Star Trek Adventures, because basically I was just like, I just want an extra player while Maddie's out, and Manya can just pick up a supporting character, right? Because like, why not? And yeah, she's on the west side, so that's whose time zone I keep track of a little bit.
display at the British Museum of National History for over 50 years. That was until evolutionary theory took hold. In total, they excavated over 30,000 different bones and remains from that rock layer, which is dated at around 25 million years old. And like all evidence that comes out against evolutionary theory,
All right, so now I actually have to check out the Guadalupe women, or woman. Was it woman or women?
I wasn't paying attention because I'm still trying to figure out who this O'Rourke guy is.
Okay, it's woman. Guadalupe woman, a victim of Noah's flood, is the first search result. The next few search results are
good.
let's see. We've got, well, Our Lady of Guadalupe, which is definitely not what we're looking. Joshua
Definitely
Geese for
not.
$2 says, Seben. Oh, we're counting down how many super chats we need. Yeah, okay. Got it. I was like, why are we counting down from 8? What does that even mean? And then you said save it, and like, oh, okay, I get it. Let's see. So allegedly a skeleton 28 million years ago. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, okay. A skeleton found in a slab of rock 1 mile long with an unknown date of origin. Oh, so it actually isn't known to be 28 million years ago. The original investigator declared the stone to be a kind of sandstone made up of concretion of calcareous sand. Additionally, Matthew tells us there's a graveyard near the site of the skeleton's excavation that began at the time of Columbus' discovery of the island around 1493. Okay, so yeah, let's see. Let's see. No other evidence support the claim of an older age. Let's see. Da, da, da. Okay. So there's no evidence that it's anything other than a modern skeleton, and by modern I mean very early modern. Let's see. The only places I'm really finding this is creationist websites other than that, and then the only Wikipedia page is Our Lady of Guadalupe. Nope, that's a recent crime from 2026 about a dead woman.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, the only non-creationist source I can find says that yeah, this is entirely consistent with a woman having been buried in a European graveyard that was established in the 15th century. Cool. Cool. Yeah. So I guess we could say, well, maybe this woman was buried 22 or whatever million years ago, or she was buried in Noah's flood. And just no other creationists have picked up on this other than Raw Matt, which would be weird, right? Because if this were a thing, I would expect them all to be crowing about it. Or maybe she was buried in a cemetery that is known to be
Hmm.
right there, and it was done in the
Hmm.
15th to early 16th century. That's also a possibility.
Hmm.
I don't know. It's probably that she's several tens of millions of years old. That's we'll just go with it, right? Sure.
Go with that. That sounds really
Yeah.
good.
Right, why not? The Real Melly for $2 says AIG is a bag of floppy uncooked hot dogs. And then Templar Warden for $2 Kiwi says much of Dapper's content is good time for me. I guess I really didn't realize that for like Eastern Australia and New Zealand, like these late-ish night streams are actually pretty good. They're definitely not good for my
Oh.
European viewers. Which actually might
No.
go to explaining why I actually do seem to have like an overrepresentation of Aussies and Kiwis in my audience. That does actually make sense. Oh, we only need 3 more super chats, but we only have 5 minutes. Can we do it?
It's buried in the basement of a museum to never be seen or heard from again.
I didn't see anything about it being in a museum, so I'm not sure about that. But like, also, if it's like a partial skeleton of a woman from like 500 years ago, I don't know. My suggestion would be to put it back. Joshua Geese for $2 says she, which I believe is Mandarin. Not positive.
Are we to believe that the high Arctic had an animal diversity as diverse as the Serengeti?
Okay, Whiplash. What are we talking? Okay, sure, the Arctic. Okay.
Yet was covered in ice and snow and going through an ice age.
No, Matt, we're not to believe that, because the high diversity you're talking about was from like the Jurassic and the Cretaceous, when Antarctica wasn't covered in snow during the Jurassic, like at all, ever, and was only seasonally covered in snow in the Cretaceous. Landon Knoll for $4.99 says Oz might be ahead of most of the world time-wise, and yet contains some of the oldest known rocks and zircon crystals. That's true. And then we did get it. Rhonda puts sends in a $1 chat, and then Zero Line for $2 says, I am
Cheers.
watching while drawing dragons. Awesome. And then Mr. Plowking sends in a blank $2 chat. So all right, we
Oh my
did
gosh.
it. We get Matt McLean
We did
next
it.
time.
Yay. Also, the guy that wrote that article that he cited, is like, he's not a scientist. He's
You
like
don't
a
say.
geoengineer,
Oh.
right? But also, like, his education is listed that he has an MFA in writing, and then
no.
like wrote children's books, right?
That's close enough to a
So
Trojan source. I'm taking a drink for it.
yeah, Trojan source. It's a weird paper. It's not a paper. It's like an essay.
Lieutenant Matt the Navigator says, I don't know about she, but this man is full of shite. Yes, that is correct. I just love that virtually every time we ever check on a raw mat source, it turns out it's just absolute garbage.
Yeah, it's pretty garbage. It's pretty garbage. It's garbage. Anyway, and it's just a rambling talking about. Let me drop the PDF, the link to the PDF in the chat.
Okay.
So you guys can check it out for yourself. But like Homeboy doesn't even have a Oh, good. That
As
was
Atomic Squirrel says,
Sorry.
in effect, he is citing Weekly World News. Correct. That is more or less what's happening. While you get that link, I'm going to hit play.
This is completely ridiculous. In 1924, the Doheny Scientific Expedition ventured into the Havasu Canyon region of the Grand Canyon. The expedition report, penned by Samuel Hubbard, is a short but fascinating read. Now, this short expedition brought multiple enigmas to the attention of the scientific community. One discovery of fossil footprints was only briefly mentioned in the report, saying that Mr. Gilmore was at a loss to explain these carboniferous footprints. That Mr. Gilmore was Charles W. Gilmore, who gave more detail in the Smithsonian Miscellaneous Collections. Mr. Gilmore showed the footprints which bore a clear resemblance of horse footprints to the local Native Americans to see what they would say about them.
I
What?
do not entirely know what I'm looking at here.
I don't know what we're looking at either.
Also, I'm not finding anything when I look about the Doheny expedition finding giants. However, they did report to have found not actual dinosaurs, but cave paintings of, well, not rock paintings, sorry, petroglyphs, not cave paintings of
Ooh.
dinosaurs. However, there's a problem. One of them is that quote-unquote Edmontosaurus that creationists say is a rock painting of an Edmontosaurus, even though it's actually a bird, and also it doesn't actually look anything at all like an Edmontosaurus, even a little bit. And then some of the other things that they found that they said were dinosaurs were in fact actually just mammals. And some of the other ones were actually not even one single painting, but just some stains on rock that overlapped with some petroglyphs to kind of give a vague impression of like a larger animal when that is in fact never what it was. And yet there's nothing about giants that I can find anywhere in any source. So Matt's basically just lying as far as I can tell. I'm taking a drink. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say that like these look like horse footprints. Let's back up and be a little more specific, right? How would a scientist talk about that? That would be, we found trackways fossils. I needed to wet my whistle. You'll excuse me.
No.
That would be like, we found trackways fossil that resemble a hooved creature, right? And there are many such, right? Like horses aren't the only thing with hooves. This is dressage, if you're unaware.
Yeah.
And so like absolutely impossible to look at that and say, yep, that was a horse, right? Like,
well, I mean, if it were sufficiently consistent, right? Because horses are one of the few animals that have a single hoof per foot, and they have distinctive shapes for the hoof. However, one of the problems here is that I don't see trackways. I see uneven, unpaired marks, which makes me think that this is more likely a different kind of trace fossil. So, for instance, maybe it's a feeding mark from something, or maybe it's like it doesn't look like footprints at all. Never mind being horse footprints. If it were footprints, then horse might be somewhat reasonable. But like if you look, so they're characterized by basically two arcs, right? One is like mostly circular, and then the other one has a sort of angled bit in some cases. But the relative sizes aren't consistent throughout this, and they don't form paired, like offset tracks, right?
Yeah.
So like, I don't think this is footprints at all.
Also, can we talk about, they wanted to show these to local Native Americans. Like, horses were extinct in the Americas in the New World until they were reintroduced by the Spanish.
Although that was several hundred years before this expedition.
Okay, but they want to go with these rocks formed a few hundred years ago?
I don't know what the point is that they're trying to go with.
Yeah, that's
Because the other thing is like, yeah, even if these are horse footprints, then what is our conclusion from that?
Right, and what would the local tribe know about that?
Yeah,
Right? Like, listen, I'm all for including indigenous knowledge into research. Like, I think that's especially like in sea ice world, right? That's important, because indigenous folks who like hunt on the sea ice are major stakeholders in sea ice research. But like this reeks of, this reeks of the like trope of Native Americans, of like the kind of like the noble savage trope of like they had this secret knowledge of horses. Like it's
yeah.
gross. I don't like it.
Also, well, I'm not sure I agree with this either. The
Yeah.
expedition's paleontologists apparently identified them as dinosaur footprints.
Love
Um,
that journey for us too.
yeah. Also, so I'm actually passingly familiar with the Havasupai as a culture, and
Okay.
at least currently, the only thing close to
Mhm.
any kind of like interaction they have with horses is that they maintain a mule or donkey for purposes of getting to the nearest post office, which is at the top of the canyon, whereas their settlements are at the bottom of the canyon. And so, other than that, I don't think they have a noted history of like using equines like the Plains Native American groups did, who were like using them to help hunt buffalo after their reintroduction by the Spanish, more or less accidentally after a
Yeah.
shipwreck. So like I don't even think this is a culture that has any particular like experience with horses. In fact, probably less
Yeah.
so than the European descended people who were on the expedition. So I
Yeah.
so it's a weird
And,
thing.
like, if you're at the bottom of the Grand Canyon and you get to choose a single, like, working animal, I choose donkey every time.
I'd choose
Uh,
mule, but yeah.
well, mule, yes, but if I have it, if I only get one, and maybe we want to be able to get more donkeys
Well, if you only get one, then it won't
anyway.
matter because you only
I
get
guess
one.
if I only get one, it doesn't matter. But maybe if my neighbor gets one,
Yeah,
too,
okay. You get opposite
we
sex
can have
donkeys.
more donkeys.
Right.
Yeah, we need. Yeah.
Lieutenant Math Navigator for $2 says these must be from the Tapir Cavalry. Yes, the Tapir Cavalry from the
Yes.
Book of Mormon. Actually, if you want to go visit the Havasupai, like their main industry basically is tourism, but they let in an extremely small number of people per year. So good luck. But
That's super
it
cool.
is absurdly beautiful. You can go find pictures of it. So like if you ever get a chance, and maybe like the U.S. Becomes a place that's worth visiting again,
Yeah.
try. You almost certainly won't actually get in, but like put in an application.
Right. Yeah.
The local native Indians considered them to
Those are absolutely
Those
not
are
Havasupai.
those are absolutely not
I'm
Havasupai.
taking a
This
drink.
is no, absolutely not. These are Plains Indians.
I
Jesus. Hmm.
like I get that there
Listen,
isn't a whole lot of art from like, a couple centuries ago or a century ago of the Havasupai, but bro, there's pictures. You could just get a photograph.
just get a photo, or at least use like Pueblo Indians. You know what I mean? Like at least use people from that region.
Right? Yeah, like from
Uh
Arizona maybe?
yeah. Enter my rant of not all native cultures are unique, wild, right? That on, like the US turns out real big. A lot of Europeans visiting for the World Cup are figuring that out. US real big. We had lots of different cultures, the same way Europe has lots of different cultures, right? The geez, like the Cherokee are
I'm
as close
actually
to the
offended right now, by the
Iroquois.
way.
I'm so mad, right? Like the Cherokee are as close to the Iroquois or the Hopi, right? As like like Scotland is to Portugal is to like Western Russia, right? These are wildly different cultures and different peoples, and they have different systems of governance. They lived in different like climates, right? And use different methods of food to like get food. We go from people with full like the Cherokee, my tribe, right? Pre-contact, we're already farmers, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were already an agricultural society that were like lived in one place, right? And then you come out toward the Missouri people, right? The Missouri and the Oto, they are semi-nomadic, right? So they have agriculture, they grow crops, but they sort of plant and then leave and go hunt some buffalo and then come back, harvest. They rotate between a variety of settlements. And then you have fully nomadic tribes like the Plains Indians. So if you're thinking like the Sioux, right? They're all different.
Hey, Maddie, how many
They're all
buffalo you
different.
think the Havasupai were hunting at the bottom of the Grand Canyon?
Yeah, 0.
Exactly.
Yeah, they weren't hunting, you
They
guys.
did
They
also
were
have agriculture down there, believe it or not.
wild.
Ugh.
Wild. That those indigenous to desert regions, like the American Southwest, had a wildly different like culture and like sources of food than the Iroquois up in Maine. I
It's
don't know if
so
the Iroquois
infuriating.
were in Maine, but you know what I mean?
They were at
Like,
least in
come on.
Massachusetts.
At least in Massachusetts. Yeah. Maine is on my brain because I want to be living there right now.
It is nice.
It's too hot here. I want to go to Maine. I want to see my friend.
Last time I
I
was in
want to go
Maine,
outside and not die.
I got a wasabi
Mm.
mayonnaise lobster roll.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so good.
It was so good.
To be the tracks of a band of wild horses. Now I want you to remember, Indians were natural trackers, and they could well...
No, fuck off! I will send you a goddamn super chat for that, but you can fuck right off with that, Ron.
Yeah, I'm taking a drink on that bullshit.
Jesus Christ. The Indians, all of them.
Oh, yeah,
Guys,
the entire continent.
The entire
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He said they were natural trackers.
Right. It was just
Evaporate.
genetic.
It was just genetic.
Yeah, they were
just
born
knew how to
knowing
do
how
it.
to track. Jesus Christ.
Oh my god.
Matt-
Oh my god. How much do I owe you? I've sent like $6. I don't.
I usually say it's $10 per super chat, but I have never actually strictly enforced anything. So, like, I don't care. Do whatever you want.
Okay.
identify any animal by its footprints.
Just all of them, any animal.
All of them. They can identify any animal. It's a natural superpower that they all have. I'm gonna have to mute because I'm gonna curse too much.
How long until we get Matt talking to us about a magical Negro character? Because like we're gonna get all the racist tropes apparently today. Is he gonna have a mentor figure from East Asia also? Can we get that trope in?
Maybe.
Take another drink because I am. Look, Young Earth Creations content does not usually go this full into racism. Jesus. I'm gonna hit play because I can't keep talking about
I've never sent you this many super chats.
I appreciate it.
As their hunt
I
depended
forgot
on.
to put Carmen on it.
Oh no, it's ruined. Oh, there it is. Ah, for the effing swear jar for $5. Thank you very much. We'll take a drink for Carmen anyway. Again,
Yeah,
not a
drink for
Havasupai,
Carmen.
but sure, whatever. Although
she's my kaiju.
I do appreciate that at the very least we're getting a photograph and not just a painting. So at least this is an actual person.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I would think they know what a horse footprint looked like, especially considering the fact that they
Again, not the
owned
Havasupai.
and rode horses.
Not the Havasupai. Jesus. Matt.
Not the Havasupai still.
Matt,
Jeez.
you live in a country with multiple First Nation people groups.
My state, which granted is the former Indian territory, right? But my state has 39 federally recognized tribes.
Jeez.
39.
But also
and about
like
24 more state recognized tribes that aren't federally recognized.
Like just Ontario, right? Has a significant Cree population. They're not all riding around on horses.
Mm-mm.
In fact,
this is a very specific Plains Indian. There were several different tribes that would like identify with this. So I don't know what specific tribe this is from, right?
Well, clearly Matt's idea of Native Americans is just come from American spaghetti westerns.
Yeah, I'm about
Right,
to.
like,
I'm so mad.
Every once in a while, Maddie, I get it into my brain to learn a little bit of Cree, and I never get around to it.
I really want to learn some Cherokee. For those that don't know, like that is my tribe. That's my family's tribe. I'm an enrolled member of the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma. Um, and oh man, oh man. Uh, so like I really like my tribe, right? They do a lot of good things. I really like our chief. We have a democratically elected chief, and Chief Chuck Hoskins Jr. is our current representative, is our current chief. And the Cherokee Nation is it kind of goes back and forth of if I think the Cherokee Nation is currently the largest nation in the US. We kind of go back and forth between 1 and 2 with the Navajo.
Yeah.
But it's large, and so Chief Hoskins often is like called to Washington to like testify before the Senate on native issues,
That's
right?
good.
And so I appreciate that he does a lot to like try to advocate for all like Native Americans everywhere, right? While also, if you guys don't know who Chief Wilma Mankiller, she was the first woman to be a chief of a major tribe, and she was back in the 80s. And she took the Cherokee Nation from like impoverished, right, to a very thriving. There's a lot of tribe-owned businesses where they take that money and reinvest in the tribe and the local communities at large. For example, all of the you can like I need to do this. I can get my car tag because I'm a nation member. I can get my tag for my car from the Cherokee Nation instead of from the state. And the Cherokee Nation has enough money that they donate all of the proceeds from selling tags, right, to the Oklahoma Department of Education
Oh, that's
to
awesome.
help support schools, right? So if I actually want to get money to schools, right, I should get my tag from the Cherokee Nation because that's the only tax money that's going to go to schools,
Right.
right? Um, um, I don't know. I'm rambling because I'm so angry and trying to just like info dump about my tribe, right? Jeez.
Well, let me get a few super chats
Uh,
in, and then we're gonna
yeah,
have to plow through this eventually. So we'll
we
see what
are.
happens.
I gotta find something to squeeze
Okay.
or throw.
But we'll
So you
just
read super chats and I'll be right back.
That's
I've
fair. And
got a
I'll just say
squish
that
over
from now
there.
on, we're not going to further comment on the fact that Plains Indians do not encompass the entirety of all Native American or First Nation or Indian, depending on your particular tribe of interest and their particular preferred nomenclature. Because I will point out, many of them
We'll
do
be here all
prefer the
night.
term Indian, so that is a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, whichever group, clearly not all represented here. Lieutenant Math Navigator for $2 says all First Nations look the same to me. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Josh McGee's for $20 says supporting Maddie's incredibly valid use of the word that starts with F. Yeah, that's fair. Then Vandaliant 1998 says for $2, Maddie, can your kid outthink Matt already?
Yes. My kid had a whole argument for why they shouldn't go to school tomorrow because their leg is hurt, and also why they don't have to go to bed tonight. But I can't. Before I even asked to look at the wound under the Band-Aid, she told me that I couldn't look under the Band-Aid.
Already got that
I
covered.
feel like that's outthinking Matt.
Yeah, probably. Well, to be
Yeah, but
fair,
no, you can't
your child has never tried to go an extensive period of time without ever eating any calories.
No, she's a great eater. Oh my gosh.
Daily.
Also spontaneously potty trained. We love this
Wow.
journey. I know. She just was ready and went from not potty trained to potty trained literally overnight.
Hey.
At this point. But the problem for evolutionism was that these footprints were out of place.
I mean, except that the expedition's paleontologist said they were dinosaur footprints. So, like, I'm not even convinced they're actual footprints, but, like, what are you going to do about that, Matt? And if you're like, oh, hey, what might look like a horse footprint? The answer is a hadrosaur. Hadrosaur front feet look a lot like horse hooves in terms of footprint. Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $2 says, all Europeans make killer schnitzel. Yeah, all of them. You gotta love that Welsh schnitzel.
Yeah. You're born with the knowledge.
Yeah, if you're European, you just pop out of the womb making schnitzel right there. How it works.
They were in Permian rocks.
I mean, I doubt that because the geologist or paleontologist didn't seem to think that. But okay.
Yeah.
The rocks were far too old, according to evolutionary theory. After all, many people still believe in the evolution of the horse, although the sequence has been proven wrong years ago.
No. It's been proven that there were many
know.
branches and it wasn't orthogenetic,
Mm.
Matt. If you actually take a sequence, these animals all exist and all exist in a continuum of equids who have different numbers of toes and different sizes. And in fact, there is a sequence that goes from the tiny Hyracotherium all the way up to the modern Equus with smooth transitions, but there are also side branches, Matt.
It still appears in textbooks today. So
Yeah, because other than the fact that it's orthogenetic, it's substantially correct. That's why.
Yeah.
well, I'm sure many
Also,
listening
remember that textbooks are generally 50 years behind.
Oh, yeah,
the,
easily.
the current science,
They're
especially the like 8th grade science stuff they reference.
Yeah. They're about as up to date as your average creationist is.
Yeah.
still believe in this lie. But regardless, if you actually look at the charts,
Also, hold on. There's no Permian rock at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. That's higher up. I am very
Yeah,
suspicious
sorry,
of this entire story.
Yeah. Also, I don't know my deep time names off the top of my head.
How
So
dare
I'm
you,
not
Maddie?
going to catch that stuff. How dare I? Meteorology has existed for approximately 100 years. Meteorology as a field.
the first supposed ancestor of the horse supposedly had arisen 50 million years ago. But now, these fossil footprints in the Grand Canyon, identical to those of modern-day horses,
Nope.
Nope, they're not that.
They're sure not.
were in rocks that have been dated by
Also, these don't look like the fossils you just showed us, Matt.
Yeah. These don't look the same. I don't.
I'm gonna have to check horse footprint because, like, maybe there's other better ones.
I'm like, what does a horse footprint look like?
Well, those are shod horses, so that doesn't help much.
That's not gonna help at all. They wear shoes.
But actually, the shod ones actually do look a little bit more like the footprints that he was showing us. But the problem is that if you're arguing that these are these were wild horses or horses being used by like Native American tribes, they probably weren't going to be shod. So yeah. Sorry, Matt. Not really. I mean, they look more like horse footprints than they do like human footprints. I'll give you that.
And those sure looks like an animal. But like some of those could be like some of those look little, and I'm like, is that a deer? I don't know.
Yeah, these are not very clear footprints. I like if we could zoom in on one, that'd be nice. Like, I'm not saying these aren't horse hoofprints. I don't actually know because it's a pretty low quality image. Because for some reason, this is like all of Matt's photos have been potato quality, and I don't know why.
evolutionists pushing
Lieutenant Matt Navigator, who's been a member for 17 months, says these are clearly Hans footprints. Ah, yes, Hans, of course.
300
but
million
like, if you
years.
look, there's different sizes of footprints in this image. Is
Well,
the
we can
point
say a
I'm trying
herd
to make,
went
right?
by.
This also looks like a road.
It seems to be a road, yeah. My guess is that
So
people
there's
actually.
very
Oh, sorry.
few herds of like wild horses in the US, and they typically don't go on roads because they're typically in like nature preserves.
I mean, you say very few, but like there's a whole bunch where I live, and there are paths
Okay.
that they would follow if they were trying to go from one place to another, because it could also just be a game trail, and also if it's a human-made trail, animals will follow it if it's convenient, which it usually is because humans
That's
make
true.
convenient trails. So like
Humans, we're good at it.
yeah. In fact, actually,
I'm sorry, I just exhaled loudly into my microphone. I'm on the struggle bus.
when I drive around Arizona more than more than a few miles outside of like city limits, it's actually not uncommon to see a herd of Mustangs at any given point.
Wild horses
Technically
come
feral.
take me away.
Not only does this totally debunk horse evolution, but it puts
Well, it totally debunks horse
Does
evolution
it?
if you could actually find a reputable source for this, rather than an expedition paid for by some oil magnate, in which apparently you asked Native Americans who don't have a horse culture about horse prints, and where the paleontologists said that they were dinosaur footprints, but where also that doesn't make a whole lot of sense either. And the pictures you showed didn't actually look like they formed tracks anyway, and they only kind of vaguely resembled horse hoofs. In fact, some of them actually came to a point at at what would be the front of the horse hoof, which is not what horses do. So, like, I'll say this:
Eh?
if you had a good source, Matt, I would take a look. Currently, your source is basically like, trust this guy who was paid by an oil magnate for no reason, because oil magnates like to throw around money because they had plenty.
Oil magnates always value the truth and what's best for humanity.
It's true. I've heard that
I've
from the
heard
oil
that.
magnates.
Yeah.
They wouldn't lie to me.
Yeah. They wouldn't lie to me. Why would they lie to me? They have my best interest in mind. They told me so.
Exactly.
modern horse way down at the bottom of the geologic timescale. Mr. Gilmore did the only thing he could have done,
As if the Permian is the bottom of the geologic timescale. Take a drink.
Yeah.
which was attempt to explain away the footprints as not even fossil footprints.
Hey, it's that thing that I said I suspected they weren't.
Wild.
desperate-
I'm actually going to take a drink for that, because they
yeah,
didn't form
that's a correct
trackways.
prediction.
Yeah,
Hmm.
if it doesn't form a trackway, it's probably not a footprint.
Rescue device. He tried to say that they were just stains in the rock.
Well, I don't think they were that, but okay.
But decades later, the famous E.D. McKee visited the footprints
So famous, I've never heard of them.
and called them footprints.
Okay, do you have a source? Or is it just some guy I've never heard of,
I would love a source for any of this.
who's apparently now a dunce, even though he agrees with you? Is that what's happening right now?
Yeah.
This is very confusing.
He said
No,
it's
this is the
ridiculous
original guy who said they weren't.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes more sense.
to
Yeah.
not call them footprints, but he labeled them as an unidentified vertebrate animal, or just an animal with four.
Okay, from the Esplanade Sandstone. Or Esplanade Sandstone. I'm not familiar with this Esplanade Sandstone. I think that might be a new one for me.
This still isn't a source.
No, but it's something I can check out,
Okay.
right? Like there might be a source. Okay, Esplanade Sandstone is a cliff-forming resistant sandstone, dark red geologic unit found in the Grand Canyon. Let's see. Well, based on what I'm seeing from here, it's definitely not Permian. Let's see. East of the Toroweap Fault, down drop to the west, blah 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 blah. Let's see. We got a couple super chats here. Templar Warden for 2 Kiwi bucks says, "I knew a guy who said horses." Yeah, I mean that's compelling. Vandalian 1998 for $2 says he is right. Ancestors of horses did live in the Permian. I mean, technically that is true.
Technically correct.
Yeah. So let's see. Let's see what the thing is. Okay. Okay. So this is in the Supai group. Okay. Only found in Arizona. It is Pennsylvanian. Okay. So let's see. What happens if we check out horse prints from the Esplanade Sandstone? I'm getting does not include horse hoof prints. Let's see. Horseshoe Bend. Nope, that doesn't help. Rock art doesn't help. Odd footprints. Answers Research. Let's see what Answers Research has to say about this. Let's see. Crossbed cochineal sandstone, blah blah blah. Let's let's see. Introduction, blah blah blah. Any footprints here? Because if Answers in Genesis is not even saying anything about these footprints, I don't know what we're doing here.
Jeez.
I'm looking through an Answers research journal for anything about these footprints, and so far I am getting zilch. All I'm getting is cross-bedding that they're going to say is like consistent with oceanic cross-bedding when you can just go look at it and know it's not. Yeah, nothing here. Let's see. Rock art. Can we even find anything in the images? Maybe there's an image of these footprints. Nope. Not even in the images section. Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $2 says, abandon all hope ye who enter here. Yeah, I love how this is the figure E23. From what, Matt? What is the publication?
Yeah. Yeah.
4 legs. Native Americans specifically told them these are horse tracks and they belong to that animal. The answer was so glaringly obvious, but you see, evolutionary theory does not permit the glaringly obvious conclusion.
All right, so I have to wonder about something, right? Because Raw Matt has now pulled out some absurdly, like, obscure ideas that don't even seem to exist in, like, most creationist literature. Where's he getting this from? Does he just like happen to have a book from like an ancestor or something that's just full of these super old silly claims? Because like this is not published anywhere that I'm finding. So he's not getting it from Answers in Genesis. He's not getting it from CMI. He's not getting it from ICR. I've never heard Kent talk about this, so he's not getting it from Kent. How does he even finding these things?
That's a really good question. I have no idea. Right? Like, this is so weird.
Yeah, because like the last few claims have just been like obscure nonsense from nowhere that not even creationists talk about, as far as I can tell. This is weird. Okay, but the Petit Flower says from his own ass, which I would normally agree with, except that like if you look into it, there is a thing that someone is talking about, right? Like the Guadeloupe woman, which is apparently the correct pronunciation because it was owned by the French, which is dumb, stupid French. That's a real thing that has been reported on. It's not widely reported on, but it's a thing. And like the Doheny expedition is real, and they did find prints, but like they don't seem to be horse prints, and I can't find anything in creationist literature about them. I can't find any scientific publications about them. All I can find is like a mention of prints that one guy thought were dinosaur prints in like the Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
So like
I know.
How does he?
And also like Raw Matt doesn't have a lot of thoughts, right? Like,
is someone feeding him these? You think?
I don't know, because like he's not really like known for his original arguments.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm gonna hit
so
play.
Yeah, I do wonder where he got this from.
Evolutionary theory is not science. It is anti-science, ruling out possibilities and discovery.
Matt, I just want to bring up, you were a breatharian.
Yeah.
Anytime you try to take the intellectual high ground, I'm just going to point out, you were a breatharian.
My guy.
That's worse than Flat Earth.
Before they are even made, and anything that is contradictory to it. These horse fossil footprints rule out the anti-science theology, which is evolutionism. So in closing, horses supposedly evolved around 50 to 60 million years ago, yet we find horse tracks deeper than we do dinosaur tracks.
Hey, he's at least right about when the first dinosaurs were around, which is the Triassic, so we'll take a drink for that.
Okay, I'll take a drink for it.
And Matt, please give me a source for these horse tracks, because now I'm actually fascinated as to where this claim even comes from. Also, if anyone in chat can figure out where this horse track thing is from, with the Doheny expedition, which I believe is Doheny, or it might be like an EY, double check both of those, please let me know, because my checks here have not turned up anything about horse tracks.
In the geologic column in the Grand Canyon. But it gets better. The Doheny expedition also documented the
Ooh.
fascinating
Okay, well, hold on.
Okay, hold on. I can Google this.
The
Doheney. 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 Okay. DOH.
Let me know when you got it.
Doheny expedition. Got it. Okay.
petroglyph of what they even labeled as a dinosaur.
Which dinosaur is that, Matt? Because that doesn't look like any dinosaur.
Hubbard commented that the photograph of the dinosaur petroglyph had been shown to a scientist of report, who then remarked, "It is not a dinosaur. It is impossible because we know that dinosaurs were extinct 12 million years before man appeared on the Earth."
Well, I do like the 1920s estimate for how long ago dinosaurs went extinct. That's fun. But also, what dinosaur is it, Matt? If it looks like a dinosaur, tell me which dinosaur. It doesn't look like a Triceratops. It doesn't look like an Edmontosaurus. It doesn't look like a Stegosaurus. It doesn't look like a T-Rex. What dinosaur do you think it looks like?
Gotta love how they know it's a fact, even though the very date that they quote in this is so far off by any evolutionist standard today.
Yeah, that's because it was given in 1924, Matt, before we had radiometric dating to go off of, when all we had was stratigraphy, and we know that just basing it on minimum ages from stratigraphy significantly underestimates the age. But again, going just from stratigraphy, we already have ruled out young Earth creationism. That doesn't help you much.
Now, they tell people they know that dinosaurs became extinct 65 million years ago.
66, but hey, this was published a while back.
Then when that date changes, the new one will be a fact.
Imagine thinking it's a bad thing that science is getting more accurate as more data comes in.
Yeah, wild.
Crazy.
Yeah. By the way, if you search the Doheny expedition, the first result is from creationism.com.
Cool. Lieutenant Math Navigator for $2 says, anatomically impossibilosaurus bullshitty. Yeah, that sounds like which dinosaur it is.
Yeah.
Yep. Sounds accurate.
Yep, creationism.org.
How about some biological evidence?
Okay.
We have this as well. Let's take a look at the L, M, and M haplogroups.
Which,
What?
Matt, can't be contemporaneous people, because this is an X chromosome haplogroup, if I remember the shape of this correctly. Not X chromosome, I'm sorry, mitochondria. And also, 2 of them are subsets of a larger group.
These directly correlate with Noah's 3 sons.
Y chromosome. Mitochondrial haplogroup star chart can have about the same look as the Y chromosome because, well, people groups tend to travel together. But they also have the same problem. You can't actually get those 3 to be contemporaneous. And do you know what Nathaniel Jeanson's response was when this was pointed out to him? That you can't actually get this tree to form 3 contemporaneous individuals? He said, well, maybe there was some wonky stuff going on. You know, wonky. Genetically wonky stuff. Because that's a
Funky stuff.
That's a scientific explanation if ever I heard one.
Were on the ark. You see, if evolution were true, we would have a plethora of different haplogroups in the diversity of humans today.
We do. You're showing them right now. That's what you're showing me, is a chart of haplogroups. What?
Yeah.
I'm just going to take a drink for debunking yourself on screen.
This is... Guys, I found the book. I found the book about the expedition.
Oh, good.
It's bad. It's so bad.
Of course it is.
I'll drop the link.
Let's take another drink for like citing a creationist source yet again, but this time from the 20s.
Yeah, this is just a bunch of people in the 20s who are like, look, the Indians knew about dinosaurs, right? Like,
goodness.
Just, that's it. That's all it is.
Next thing you'll be telling me that actually the mounds in, the upper Mississippi were actually made by white people who were wiped out by the Native Americans. We're like 10 years removed from that.
right, check out Mini Minuteman's. He's done some really cool work on the earthen mounds
Yeah, he
in
has.
North America. Check out his videos on that. They're very cool.
Not just the burial mounds either.
Yeah, not just the burial mounds, but like the giant earthen works of Native Americans, like pre-European contact Native Americans. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, the book is like, there were dinosaurs and giants in this canyon. So that's
Weird how they
where
didn't
we're
publish
at.
that
We were talking
anywhere,
about-
like, scholarly.
Yeah, wild that it's just a book from the 20s. The closest thing to a scholarly source, which like I've got to like make like I would have to log in through my library and I could get it, but Giants is from the Journal of Arizona History. Giants and Dinosaurs in the Grand Canyon, Samuel Hubbard in the 1924 Doheny Scientific Expedition. So let me grab
The link for that?
yeah, let me grab the link for that and I'll drop it because that's probably more useful. And your local library, like the public library in your area, especially if you're in the US, probably has access to this.
Okay. And while
right,
you're
so I'm
grabbing
dropping
that and
that
dropping
link
that, I'm going to
back.
hit play on this because we've only got like 4.5
Play.
minutes.
Do it. Do
Not
it. Do it.
just
Do it.
three.
Do it. Do it. Do
This
it.
is
Do it.
evident when we look back in time at ancient man. We see tons of different haplogroups, but yet after the flood bottleneck, we only find 3.
Jeez, I'm taking a drink. Matt,
Do we?
every part of the human genome has a most recent common ancestor. Every single part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Which means for any part of the human genome that you care to find, you can find the 3 oldest branches. And if you just arbitrarily declare that those are the 3 sons of Noah, okay, cool, but that doesn't mean anything. That's just you not understanding how genetics works. Because if you think about it, okay, so if every single part of the genome has a most recent common ancestor, that means they all converge to one ancestor. Okay? And then that ancestor had more than one offspring, which established 2 different haplogroups, right? And then one of those groups is going to split before the other one. And there suddenly you got 3 groups. And if you're willing to just go back to the most recent 3 common ancestors, you're going to be able to do that for any part of the genome. That's not significant. That doesn't tell you anything. All you're doing is just saying, okay, well, the story that I believe in says that there were 3 guys who got off the ark. So I'm going to trace back Y chromosomes to the most recent 3 splits. Or sorry, the most recent 2 splits. Yeah, which will give it 3 groups. Okay, but if the story were different, you just trace it back a little bit less, right? If the story said that Noah had 4 sons or 5 sons, you trace it back to that point, and you'll be able to do that too. But what you can't do is find a good reason to say they were all contemporaneous with each other. And we can't.
You sure can't.
In fact, actually, one thing I'd like to point out is, you notice how one of these groups has much longer branch lengths than the others?
I do notice that. Why is that, Dapper?
That's because if you actually root this tree, it actually roots slightly along that branch because that is the most divergent haplogroup, which I believe is A, if I remember correctly, for Y chromosome. And it's the haplogroup to which basically the group of humans who are the most genetically distant from all other humans belong to that particular group. And that long length indicates how old that branch is.
So it's almost like that branch is older than the other branches.
Right, which makes the other 2 not contemporaries of that common ancestor. Weird, right?
Are you sure that's not just Noah's oldest son?
I am sure, because that actually wouldn't matter. Lieutenant Math Navigator for $2 says, no native person would stack dirt like that. Obviously, correct. And
I'm enraged. Anyway, continue.
I'm just gonna hit play because I could keep going about this, but we all get it, right? Like, this chart is not showing you what Matt wants it to show you.
It sure isn't.
And Jason Lyle's own excuse for this is just like, well, something happened. Oh, okay, cool.
Why is that? What was that something, Lyle?
It's obvious.
Who knows?
All humans today derive from the 3 sons of Noah. and genetics
Oh,
proves
that's
it today.
obvious.
Is it obvious?
Stapper. It's obvious.
Is it obvious?
It's obvious.
it's
That's
weird.
the answer, and it's obvious.
It's weird because
It's
actually obvious
weird
it's
how
not
actually
true.
obvious that
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
Actually,
very bizarre.
It's also interesting how
Wild.
they never show you this idea on a rooted chart or a rooted tree, because once you root it, it becomes very obvious that this idea doesn't make any sense.
I don't know why you need to do that.
Oh,
Like, why are you just like speaking blasphemy, Dapper? I
well,
don't
I mean, fair.
understand.
Yeah,
Actually,
it is
yeah.
blasphemy, but also it happens to turn out that like we know what it would look like if everyone descended with their with their Y chromosomes from like separate contemporaneous children of the same guy. Which is to say that there would be a polytomy that would be unresolvable with 3 branches coming out of it. And that's never what we get when we actually root this tree. It's actually not even what we get with the unrooted tree. And I'm going to take a drink for Godzilla.
I sure would, but I finished my beer, and and man, that last one was a 10% alcohol, and so I'm good. I'm gonna chill for the rest of this stream.
That's fair.
I'm just gonna let my rage fuel me and become a Sith.
Okay.
Man, raw mat's gonna make me a Sith.
But it goes much further than just this. There's evidence everywhere. If Noah's Ark is true, and the Ark landed on the mountains of Ararat, and the people from it spread, then Ham's line went to Africa, which has always had the fastest birth rates.
No,
Matt,
no.
there's
Don't do the racism.
You know what? Without the racism, we'll just set that aside for a second here. There's a problem there, Matt, which is that all of those major haplogroups that you're talking about are found in Africa. You have to go further down to get the other people to be characteristic in there. That's because all of human diversity outside of Africa is a subset of African diversity. Which means,
can I ask a dumb question about that? Or should we save that for when we're not a couple drinks in? My dumb question is, if all of human genetic diversity exists inside of Africa,
nope,
then
is a subset of African genetic diversity.
Is a subset.
So all non-African genetic diversity exists as a part of a larger group of human genetic diversity, which itself is characteristic of people groups in Africa. But some of the genetic diversity that exists originated as mutations outside of Africa, but those groups are still nested within larger groups of genetic diversity, and the rest of the larger group that it's nested within is all African.
I understand. Okay, continue.
Okay.
I had to stare off
the
at the middle distance and think about it for a minute.
That's fine. It's not easy to figure out.
And give birth before the age of 18, even today. And because of this, we can
that's
make
not true.
predictions.
That's not true.
It
is incredibly rare.
Yeah, it's
but
not
also
common.
Doesn't matter. But it's not common. It's incredibly rare in hunter-gatherer tribes for a first birth to be before the age of 19.
But also, what Matt is confusing here is 2 different aspects of a phylogenetic tree. And he's saying that lots of births and a short generation time will give you this greater genetic diversity. And it's
no.
So there is a sense in which that's kind of true, but the problem is that what we actually see in the genetic diversity in Africa is we do see a lot of it, but what Matt is suggesting would not necessarily result in lots of branches within Africa. It would result in longer branches within Africa, which we do see in some groups, but not in all.
Okay.
And so if his just argument is like, well, the people descended from Ham just have lots of kids really early, then we would see long branches, but we don't consistently see that. So what he's saying is a hypothesis that, while it is a bit racist, is testable, and we can test it right now, and it just is already falsified.
Also, just so people know, like in modern hunter-gatherer tribes, it's incredibly rare for like teenage births to exist. That's incredibly rare. They're like 19 to 20 is when the first birth is happening, and children tend to be spaced further apart than in the Western world. They tend to be about 4 years apart. Anyway, listen, my hyperfixation on motherhood extends to learning about motherhood in modern hunter-gatherer tribes as
Take a drink from Mothra, I guess.
analog. cheers, as an analog for ancient, right? How the communities humans evolved in. What did motherhood look like in the communities humans evolved in? Is a question that I ask myself. Anyway, hey, fun thing about being both autistic and a mom is parenting became my hyperfixation.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's a thing I care about a whole lot.
I can see why.
Based on
Yeah,
her
'cause my
mitochondrial
daughter is a really great human, and I love her a lot. She's pretty special.
DNA, we're going to find out that young Earth creationism is proven right yet again.
Matt,
We will. Are you sure?
we won't.
Let's
but
see
also,
it. You gave a testable hypothesis.
well, we already tested it and it's false. But the other thing is
but we
that
tested it and it was wrong.
if it were true that humans descended from a group that were in like Anatolia or where you put it, which is like sort of like the Levant, then that would be the place where the center of human genetic diversity would come about. And it wouldn't just be that would be where the most genetic diversity
not?
is. No, it would also be the case that all the people
What?
outside of that area would be a subset of the people in that area. Instead, not only is the highest genetic diversity centered roughly around Addis Ababa, which is basically not basically, it is the capital of Ethiopia, but also all of the non-African genetic diversity in humans is a subset of that African diversity, which would mean that Ham would have to be the ancestor of all humans if you're going to say that Ham went to Africa. So the only way to do this, ultimately, is to say that Shem and Japheth just didn't have any descendants that lasted till today. But the problem there is that if you look at the Table of Nations, which comes before the story of the Tower of Babel, which is weird because it's out of chronology, but who cares? You will find that a number of groups that have living descendants, as far as nations are concerned, are listed as being the descendants of other sons of Noah besides Ham. So, and also, a number of those groups we have now characterized their Y chromosome haplogroups, and they're split between the three sons anyway. None of this actually works when you go farther than just the unrooted tree and the lies. I'm going to be very clear about this. The lies that Jason Lyle lies about it. Because Jason Lyle knows better.
Jason Lyle is a lying liar.
Right.
Like, let's be
Who
super
lies?
clear. He's a lying liar who lies. Let me be so clear. Jason Lyle's big thing, his big thing, and this drives me insane, is this whole distant starlight, and you can't measure.
I meant to say Nathaniel Jeanson, and now we're off on Lyle. Sorry. I'm sorry. I have a weird thing in my brain where I confuse Nathaniel Jeanson and Jason Lyle. And I have been doing it for years, and I don't know why. But they're both lying liars who lie.
Yeah, Lyle is a lying liar who lies. And he also is the closest thing to a nemesis I've ever had, and he doesn't know I exist.
That's
right?
Nathaniel Jeanson is similar.
Yeah. His pet theories boil down to I'm really smart and you guys in my audience aren't, and I'm gonna trick you. That's it. That's his argument.
Want to know my favorite actual Lyle argument that I have yet to figure out how it is even supposed to be an argument is?
Yes, please.
The Mandelbrot set is a thing.
Yeah, the Mandelbrot set is a thing. It's a very fun fractal pattern. The hell?
Well, you see, it's infinitely complex, so therefore only God could invent it.
But yes, it's not infinitely complex because it's represented by a very simple equation. It is infinite in the sense that but
Maddie,
like
I need you to understand that you're thinking more about this than anyone who
Lyle
has ever
did?
presented this argument. Yeah, and also more than Lyle did. But yeah, he calls this his ultimate proof of God, and it's just that fractals exist.
Listen, fractals are super cool, and I like them. But the Mandelbrot set also definitionally has a finite volume.
But its perimeter is infinite in length.
Its perimeter is infinite, and it has a fractional dimension, which is super cool to think about. And there's places in nature where we find fractal structures. And believe it or not, like MCS's mesoscale convective systems, the ones that like produce tornadoes, those are one of the systems where we find fractal patterns IRL.
So are coastlines. And so I'm going to argue that beaches prove God.
No, coastlines aren't. Coastlines more follow a random walk. I think.
But they are the length of measured coastlines goes up in a way that makes the actual perimeters of land masses at the to the limits of what we can actually measure function like fractional dimensional objects.
I see. Okay.
So if we define
I see the
fractal
point you're making.
as something with fractional dimensionality, which is a valid definition under many circumstances for fractal, then coastlines are actually fractal to a limit.
Okay, I will give you that. But to a degree, right?
Yeah.
To the degree that you can actually reach infinite things
As
in our
Swiftlight says,
three-dimensional world.
just look at the sand. Yes. Well, the same thing is
Look
true
at
for
the
like weather
sand, man.
phenomena, right? Like if you look at them granularly enough, they're not fractal anymore.
Yeah. Listen, guys, if you look at the weather too much, you're gonna lose your mind. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
The weather is Cthulhu.
The weather is Cthulhu.
I'm gonna hit play because we've got 3.5 minutes.
God, and we've been going almost
Now,
3
how
hours.
about some of the typical complaints from the skeptic?
Ew,
Such
what
as,
is this
what
image?
did Noah feed the animals on the ark? Where did they all go to the bathroom? Obviously, this would be a huge problem, would it not?
Yeah.
Well, not really. The answer to this is quite simple, especially when we look at cold regions of the world like Sweden, where 7 months out of the year, it's so cold that the animals move under people's homes just to stay warm. To combat this, people are trying to keep them out, but it's nearly impossible, so people eventually just start spreading out a thin layer of wood shavings and peat moss with straw. It's called deep litter. It works by absorbing waste for up to 2 years, requiring no cleanup whatsoever.
But Matt, that's for like a few animals in a barn. That's not for representatives of
not for
every animal
on
family. Like,
Earth.
right? I'm just gonna take it. Yeah, for you know what? For the year and a half, Noah just didn't need to muck out the ark. I'm taking a drink.
He didn't need to muck his stables once.
Not even a single time. Yeah. Those elephants, those giant elephant turds were just absorbed into the mulch.
Yeah, that's like fine.
Ugh.
And it also absorbs smell. One of the reasons why it works so good.
Have you ever had a hamster?
Also, I love that the examples he's giving us are domesticated pigs and chickens. Bro, try it for some horses, or some sauropods, or some triceratops, or some rhinos, or some elephants. Just let me know how it goes.
Not removing the waste, good microbes come and make their homes in the litter, and these microbes actually eat and break down the feces and consume.
The feces? Does he mean feces?
The feces. I think of the feces. Also, it's important to remember that since microbes don't have the breath of life, it's okay that more than 2 of them survive.
Right. Yeah, they don't have the breath. It's true. They're not actually living.
They don't have the breath of life.
As Kent would say, they're a complex, self-replicating food source.
Yeah, I know you guys were all super worried about that, just as I was.
Unhealthy bacteria, leaving good bacteria behind.
Oh.
As for the animals and eating, well, remember, these are small animals. They're very young.
Sorry, but you actually can't do that?
No.
Because many animals can't just be brought in isolation from their parents and then grow up to just function. Which, actually, you're giving us a good example. So, the problem with elephants is specifically male elephants. Male elephants, when left unsocialized and without older male elephants to help control them, turn into sociopathic nightmares who will just kill cow elephants at a whim. Why? Because they've never been taught how to act. In fact, it's actually a concern in certain African elephant populations because so many of the older males have been poached for tusks that there's now no older males to keep the younger males in check, and they're doing they're basically misbehaving in ways that no one is able to correct.
So you're saying elephants, but can we just replace that with humans, and then the argument still works?
I mean, ultimately,
and replace Africa with America and Andrew Tate.
We can ultimately do it with any animal group in which males have significant amounts of testosterone, which is known to increase like aggression. And if you don't have anyone around to help correct behavior and channel that aggression into healthy avenues, it's going to be a problem. And like
wild,
you can't just it just doesn't work. Most animals that are that big, that are at least around today, aren't the kind of thing you can just raise without parents. And you cannot
Yeah.
be a sufficient proxy for an older bull elephant. You just physically can't do it. So
Also, this is the PSA to parent your kids. Anyway,
yeah, I mean it is
Okay.
that too. But like that's not just for humans, right? That's true for many, many animals.
right.
You can't just bring on babies. It's not gonna work.
And they have to be, because how else could they repopulate the Earth if they're old?
They couldn't anyway. You don't have enough genetic diversity. You would enter in a extinction vortex almost immediately with any of these groups. So it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Like it's like, oh, we need to maximize reproductive lifetime of these one pair of animals. Yeah, sorry, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Yeah, because you already need miracles all the way down
Right.
for this.
So just say it's a miracle all the way down for this too, and stop trying to figure out how it
Yeah.
will work. Right?
Yeah.
Because the answer ultimately is just indefinite miracles. They just keep going until
It's indefinite miracles. Yeah. And like, let's remember that juveniles, especially juvenile males, are going to eat so much food.
Yeah, pound for pound, it's a lot more than adults. In fact, in some cases,
Yep.
depending on their exact age and how fast they grow, it can ultimately mean that you end up needing to feed them more or bringing young ones. But that's going to vary by particular group. So, like, I don't know exactly how you do all that math, but it's not a simple, well, they're small, so they eat less, and therefore less food is needed.
Therefore, God.
might not even want to reproduce. So having very young, small animals on a ship would require not very much food. Also,
They might not even want
They
to
might just-
reproduce.
they
I was
might
like,
just not be
yeah,
horny.
God forbid you bring on a gay elephant. Like,
Right. All the animals of the ark were 1 straight and 2 horny.
yeah, they were straight and horny, just like God intended. Ugh.
Yeah, that is in fact God's plan.
consider nearly all animals can fall into a hibernation state to
That's just not true. Also,
That's not true.
that's estivation, but okay, sure, whatever.
survive extreme colds or famines.
No,
A lot of things
Matt, if that were true, then we would have a lot less starvation in the world.
that you've seen in this video are genuine sequences of reversals of the evolutionary timescale.
Hasn't been one. The closest you've come is I've been unable to find a source for your horse print claim. That isn't
Yeah.
anything other than just a creationist screed from over 100 years ago.
They invalidate it. And these reversals of alleged time demonstrate that there is no deep time.
No, they demonstrate that you don't know about things like sediment folding or upthrust, or that you're willing to just go with known liars who'd agree with you rather than, actually do any rigorous research.
If there is no deep
Yeah.
time, then there is no evolution.
That part is true. I'll take a drink there, Matt.
So if the geological record actually shows clearly the flood of Noah, and if evolution is
Which it
wrong
doesn't.
about that, and the Bible is right about that, then what else is the Bible
Which is
right
not.
about?
All right, well, that's where we start preaching, which is where we start
Yeah.
stopping this. So,
Where we start ignoring.
yeah, because, okay, look, Maddie, you're a Christian.
I sure am.
I don't tell people my religious positions, but that's okay. I'm pretty sure that everyone in my
Yeah.
audience is aware of the basic theological
Yeah.
claims of historical Christianity, as well as some of the theological particulars of evangelical Protestantism. And I'm sure that all of you are more than capable
Yeah.
of making a decision right now, or have already made a decision on whether or not you want to become a part of any Christian sect, including Matt's. And I don't
Yep.
plan to change your decisions on any of those, or to encourage you to change any of those, other than to say that if you are part of a sect that is doing, lots of toxic things, at the very least you try to oppose that. And if you can't, then maybe you should switch to a sect that is doing less toxic things. But apart from that,
Yeah.
y'all are adults. You can figure it out. If you feel like you need Jesus, go get more Jesus. If you don't, I'm not going to tell you do. But hey, what that means is that Maddie, the next time we're here, we're going to be checking out Matt McLean.
We can do better, Matt.
Better Matt.
We can do less bad, Matt. I'm
Less
so
bad Matt,
happy.
yeah.
I'm so happy. Best, open parentheses, not good, close parentheses, Matt.
Right. Now, I will say that it probably does also mean that Matt Powell will just be delayed rather than canceled. Because, once we run out of Matt McClane, we do have to eventually get... But it will be a nice break, right? So, yeah.
It will be a nice break. And especially if you can find anything Matt McClane... If you can find something Matt McClane that deals with, like, anything I know stuff about.
Well, unfortunately, he is he calls himself a paleontologist. So...
Yeah.
He's the only other creationist Matt I can find. So, like, But you know what, though? Even though you might not be, like, an expert on paleontology, you are someone who can think, and therefore who is actually pretty good at figuring out when something is just complete nonsense when it comes to paleontology, because you'll just be like, wait a minute, that doesn't follow. So,
Wait a second.
Like,
Those aren't horses.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think that will be fun. I think that it'll be a good time compared to the slog.
Yeah.
But another thing is, this video has millions of views.
We only went an extra hour.
So
that's so upsetting.
And I just want to point out that it is so bad that it has taken us months and months and months to go through, like, this whole thing to show just how stupid almost all of it is. Or just all of it, really. So... all right, so
all of it, just all of it, all the time.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm
bad.
pretty tired, and
I'm out of it, man.
It's been a pretty stressful, like, 6-ish weeks, and I'm expecting that to help turn around a little bit tomorrow. And I just kind of want to go and relax, and so I am going to make the executive decision that we're not doing Star Trek today. I'm sorry. Saturday we should be able to. I don't see any problem with that. But yeah, I'm gonna go and relax a little bit. Maybe I'll have another one of these caffeine-free colas. And yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. But hey, Maddie, what do you have coming up in the next week or so that you want people to know about?
Just Friday stream with you on Top Hats Off.
All right.
Where I get to be an engineer.
You sure do, instead of a scientist.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so what is coming up over here? So first of all, today is Tuesday. Nothing tomorrow. Thursday, I'm finally done with Canadian Creationist homework. That'll be at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Do be aware that is like an hour and 40 minutes. So, like, I don't know, bring a drink. Then on Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, we've got, like Maddie said, Star Trek Adventures. It's our Star Trek Endurance campaign. So that'll be Maddie will be there, Chesh, Craig, Dr. Kip Davis, Zeralon. We've got Tirirana. Who am I missing? Maddie, am I missing anyone?
Zeralon, Tirirana. Is Manya joining?
No, unless we have someone else who cancels.
Okay.
So that should be it.
Okay.
Yeah,
True.
So that'll be that. And then Saturday at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, I am going to be downloading the correct sermon to respond to. Not the one that I thought was the one I downloaded.
I'm excited to listen to that.
Yeah. So that should be with Kip and Vishanti on Saturday. And then next Tuesday, Jackson with Jackson is the plan. I do have to double check with Jackson. But I have actually found a video from Charles Jackson from 14 years ago, where he says that this year, Darwinism is going to be defeated. And since creationists always mean evolution broadly by Darwinism, I'm pretty sure that was a failed prediction.
Yeah. Ooh.
So
it's like that whole stream is going to be a drink trigger. That's
exciting. More or less. Yeah, basically.
All right.
Well, I'm going to stop this stream. We're going to get out of here.
Hey, friends. You guys are great. Good night.
Good night, and ice must be abolished.
Hey, before you leave, I just want to take a second to thank my patrons and channel members, especially those pledging $20 or above.
Sealoof, Ben Tovind, Tapioca Weasel, The Plastic Mouse, Mikhail Dominiak, Sphincter of Doom, Regios, Landon Knoll, Ian Chen, Eleron Teller, Phil Rivera, David Hercules, Joshua Geese, Dan Sheedy, Pegajace, Arrow Dodger, Gordon Love Science, Ember Athelian, Prixie Purple, Agricola Sequa, Me, Myself, and I, Ian Kiambi, Edwin M., Kenneth Swenson, and John Ackerman. It's because of my channel members and patrons whom you're seeing on screen that this channel can stay afloat. Without you, it would all shut down.
If you want to join the team, there's a link to join the channel below this video, and there's a link to join the Patreon in the description. On the Patreon, you can get a 15% discount for pledging annually, and either way, you get early access to virtually all of my scripted videos months before they come out for the general public. Thanks for watching.